So, Mr. JP.
Mr. Jake. What's going on, my bro?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm sorry. All right, I say it on camera officially. This is our second time having to shoot this episode.
That's all good. That's all good.
Yeah. I'll just make sure we got cameras on, pick it up, audio, everything's good. Everything's good to go. Shutter speed's good, ISO is good. Hopefully we don't have to film this a third time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Touch wood. But I think we'll be sweet.
Yeah,
I think we'll be sweet.
I think so too. It's funny because we were just saying last time, it's like, yeah, man, it's cool to, doing these experiences. And I was saying, yeah, bro, I used to fuck up all the time. And then I messaged you within half an hour. Yeah, sorry, bro.
I literally remember, I think I just got home. It was a pretty far drive. It's about an hour. And I was keen. I was like, yes, I did well. Like, I really enjoyed the episode. And then I get home and I get a call and I'm like, hey, bro, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
the footy just cooked. And I'm like, oh, no. But it's all right. It is what it is. Yeah.
It sucks too because I've actually gotten better at having that conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten better at letting people down. And it's like not as hard as it originally was. It still sucks, but First, I was thinking like, how am I going to break this news, bro? What am I going to do? And then I'm like, I just have to rip the fucking Band-Aid off, say it for what it is, hopefully come back and do another one. So
Of course.
yeah.
Of course. Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, true. You never know, bro. You could have walked around and gone, that was the biggest fucking waste of time. Fuck that Doxie bloke.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. I actually really enjoed it a lot.
Yeah, cool.
I hope you did as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. So I said straight away, bro, please just come back. So yeah.
Nah, of course, bro.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, we'll give everyone listening a bit of a backstory. I know a bit about you already from the last time we met, but for everyone listening, like almost who are you, how old are you, where are you from, and what is it that you do, realistically.
Awesome. So my name is JP Gonios. I'm 21. I live in southwest Sydney, so Bexley North. And at the moment, I'm, doing online coaching, trying to, change the lives of busy men who, once were in shape, but are trying to get back into their best self and essentially find their way, find their sense of drive and sense of purpose in life, give them a bit more sense of clarity. I'm working at Elite Subs, so just casually at the moment, and I'm also at uni doing a Bachelor of Business. Yeah.
Nice. All right, that's right. For a second when I was recapping before, I thought it might have been TAFE that did the Bachelor of Business, but it was uni that did the Bachelor of Business too. So there's a lot of things that I want to go down through this episode. Obviously not try and recreate, as I said, with the entire conversation that we had last time, but there are some basics that we skipped over the first time. There's some in-depth that we skipped over the first time. So we'll just kind of see what happens with the conversation, all right?
Keen for it.
Now, let's just get straight into, like, how did you start your online coaching and helping these men find I didn't know it was get back into shape. I didn't know you were helping them reach a peak state in which they were before. I thought it was just people trying to get into shape for the first time in their life, realistically. But how'd that whole journey kind of start? Because you're only 21, to be doing something like you're doing now kind of seems like it would have had to have happened a long time ago, but couldn't happen too long ago because you're only 21.
Yeah,
So
still young for sure.
Yeah.
But like we were mentioning, and I think obviously it was later on in the conversation that we actually discussed the backstory of it all. Essentially, I used to play basketball very, very competitively at a high level, and was going to national tournaments, like state tournaments, all this or that. I used to play for Sydney Comets, if anyone knows that. Just
I don't, but yeah,
that's all right. Anyway, just played for a pretty reputable club, and obviously I had pretty high aspirations to go to college overseas to play in America and actually pursue a career in that. But it didn't end up going the way I wanted to, obviously because of my height, athleticism, external factors, right? I just decided it wasn't for me anymore. And from that point, because it was all I knew, I became lost and I became very, very unclear with what I wanted in my life and what I wanted to do. And it kind of, I would say not necessarily a depression, but I just a period of time where I just didn't know what I was doing. I can assure that most men feel like that at some point in their life.
I've already related again, bro. Like the first time in the most deepest, realist emotion that I reckon that men feel, and that's just, what do I do moving forward, bro?
100%. So there was definitely a good 3 to 4 month period of that time where I just didn't know what I was doing with myself, and then just out of the blue, one day I thought, what, why not try, getting into the gym, improving myself. And ever since then, you know, here we are, you know what I mean? I fell in love with it. I started more, you know, recreationally. Sorry, recreationally. Damn,
Yeah.
I stuffed it up again.
Recreationally.
Recreationally. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And now obviously it's a lot more serious. So actually, full properly like planning on competing within the next couple of years. I'm sort of just building my foundations and base at the moment, and planning to compete in classic physique naturally. Not really hopping on. And yeah, that's kind of the backstory.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
nice. I like that. Now, naturally, I'm glad you threw that word naturally in there as well, because being a bodybuilder like yourself, is the temptations there to, go down the, I wouldn't say, and people consider it to be like unauthentic or cheating or just like boosting version of doing so with steroids. Is it tempting being a bodybuilder to go down that road?
I think there's always that, what if sort of thing. You know what I mean? You never know if, doing it will obviously lead to be it like 10 times, 30 times better gains or, better, improvement of your career, this, that, right? Just overall, feeling a lot better. But I think that the risks outweigh the rewards, if that makes sense, especially for me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young kids, and I think it's actually a really big problem, because they don't want to put that hard work in. And it's something that I preach a lot. You got to put a lot of hard work and time into the things that you want. You have to nurture, anything that you do want in life. And I think that potentially, a lot of young kids, especially, because of how it's, glorified on social media, are just taking that leap without understanding and realizing the risks and the harms that it does to you before actually going and doing it, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
there is that temptation, but just for me personally, like I never would.
Yeah, okay. That's a good statement to say. I never would. That's a good statement to say. The one thing that happens that when you do take steroids is that you'll always remove that natural aspect, because no matter what gains you get, whether you get off the cycle and you lose those gains or not, you've always got that muscle memory foundation of being on the gear and taking that initial leap forward at a faster regenerative rate that you've always, it doesn't matter if you're 2 years off cycle, realistically by that point, you might be natural now, but you're still building on the foundation of an unnatural physique, like realistically. So to stay to a natural, realistic, it's cool. I do find that depending on what your goals are, depending on whether people jump on gear or not, like some people just want to be as big as possible. Some people just want to, win and go into those strongman comps that are not the naturally tested ones or anything like that. And I guess I do agree with them going ahead and doing that if they're being safe, or, you know what I mean, realistically. But to build a brand and a lifestyle based on health rather than size and things like that, it's obviously not the healthiest version at a young age.
Without a doubt.
When I was a youth, I did. When I was a youth, I was 17. I think I did a cycle. I did 10 weeks at 17 and then 10 weeks at 18 or something like that. 10, maybe around that time. It was fun, but being older now, I don't think there was much health risk, but there's no way I'm willing to go down that level of indulgence. The only thing I ever gave a fuck about was getting as big as possible, so there was I didn't even care about what I ate. I just had to eat,
Of course. And I guess when you're on, you're just naturally a lot more hungrier as well. I'm sure you can attest.
Yeah. I was eating, dude. It was ridiculous how much food. I'd have a carton of eggs for breakfast every day, 7 days a week. I'd eat at least a chicken a day. My protein shakes were ridiculous. Like, it was nuts, bro. I
can imagine.
It was nuts. I don't recommend it. Like, towards the end of my second cycle, even though I was doing a very low, what I considered to be safe dosage, I got pretty fearful towards the end of my second one. So it was only a total of like 20 weeks on gear, but some things started to stop working,
Nah, 100%.
I only got tastes of it, but I thought to myself like, nah, I don't know if I want to be doing this.
Do you regret it?
I don't regret it. Nah, I'm not a very regretful person. Like, I've been very irresponsible in my life, realistically, when it comes to what I've indulged in and done to my body. Like, I've absolutely ruined my body in the past. Nothing permanently, hopefully, touch wood. But appreciate that.
All good.
Double down on that
All
touch.
good, bro.
But no, I don't regret it. I just think now that I'm a bit older and I have a bit more experience of what I want my life to look like moving forward, I know that that's not a path I want to go down, you know. What I was like at that age, I didn't give a fuck about what my life, I didn't know what my life was going to be. Of
course.
I didn't have an imagination for what I could be. I just thought, today I want to be twice as big as yesterday. That's all I get. That's all I get about, you know.
100%. And I think that's kind of the mindset that a lot of kids do have going into it. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily, you know, fully understand the health, you know, risks and the actual detriment it can do to your health before going into it. They just kind of have that mindset of just, you know, getting as big as possible.
Yeah.
But I think, like we were mentioning on the last, with our last conversation, that it's sort of a way to fill a hole, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Like, people think that, you know, getting as big as they want, or, you know, getting as many girls as they want, or, you know, making as much money is going to bring them happiness. But will that actually fill that void at the end of the day? You know, undoubtedly, you know, probably not.
I did a podcast with a bloke named Alexander Robert. That was a few episodes ago. I believe it was post episode 100. So it was in the last 15, 20 episodes, something like that. But yeah, when he was younger, he said the same thing. Like, and to this day, he's a big, strong, athletic looking bloke, very spiritual, and he's had a whole different life now than he did back then. But he just was trying to get as big and as strong and as mean as possible for a very long time. And he did. He got to an unbelievable physique, but he admitted this when he got to that point, he's like, I've been chasing something that's not fulfilling me, you know, realistically. Like, and that doesn't mean that gym obviously isn't something that everyone should put into their routine.
No, without a doubt, yeah.
But the unbelievable dedication to one possible thing, putting all your eggs in one basket, you know, and trying to risk your health, it's never going to get you happiness, fulfillment, anything like that.
100%. I agree.
The temptation's there. I get why people want to do it. I'm probably not the best voice on the internet to say that, you know, it was fun because it was fun, but it was fun at a risk in which I got very fortunate, very lucky. I think I consider myself to be lucky, you know. I met blokes who have said that they took gear for the first time and they've like, dick didn't work, you know, like because it does. That plays a big factor on your body.
No, without a doubt.
Yeah, especially as a young'un, you know. At 50, there's no question. 45, I'm going to get on test. Like, I'm going to. But that's only because my body's naturally started to lose its capabilities of creating testosterone.
No, without a doubt.
I'm just going to keep it alive. Why risk it now?
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And now, what about this? The online aspect of coaching. I believe we definitely touched on it the first time, but I want to know, like, how did that aspect come to life? So you found gym and it started to give you more fulfillment. And, you know, obviously today I can see that you've made a lot of progress. Your content's great. I love a nice shot piece of content, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I love it with the gym, especially gym lighting and like, I love all that shit. So it's obvious that you've done great work since starting. But then how did you transition it into a more of a, I want to start helping others to start doing what I've done as well? How did that start?
I guess it came one day actually at work. My old job that I was mentioning last time, I used to work at a digital marketing firm, and like you've done before, like you were saying, it was like night shifts, you know, early morning shifts. It was all over the shop, right? And it was one night I was sitting there, say like, you know, I think it was like 3 a.m. to be honest, like pretty, you know, you get those, you know, late early morning, you know, thoughts and whatnot, epiphanies, exactly, right? But at the job, it was pretty easy work, I'll be honest. Pretty much it was a social media manager. So that's what we would do for obviously the digital marketing firms, you know, clients that they had. So we had access to their social media. We'd like reply to any DMs that would, you know, go on, or they would send. We'd monitor like certain pages and whatnot. And if there wasn't anything that was coming through that they wanted, obviously we would be able to do whatever we wanted.
Well, before you go into this story of how this epiphany came to you, I am very curious about this digital media marketing. Is that what you call it? Digital media marketing. So to get into that space and to be employed by that, was it something that you were seeking, or was it something that just came to you? Like,
I was pretty fortunate. Like, my dad helped me out.
Yeah.
Get the job.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
yeah.
That's mad. So
Yeah.
you'd look after, obviously I'm not going to ask you exactly what brand, but are these like big established companies that need like many people to help run their social media because there's so much going on, or is it people who are starting off small startups and they want to try and get their name out there, so they hire people who are better at doing that than them?
No, like I was working for like a bigger company that was working with, pretty well established brands.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And then what? So do you control what that company wants posted? Do you create the content, or is it just in forms of replying to the DMs and chasing leads and that kind of stuff?
Mainly, it was replying to the DMs and reporting back anything that was people would post on the certain pages that they told us to monitor, to obviously ensure that the brand's being perceived as well as possible. If that makes sense. So anything that they didn't want on there, like we would obviously have to send straight to them, and then we would obviously hide it on our end and whatnot. And like it was pretty basic work, to be honest. Like we weren't necessarily. It depended on the the client that we were dealing with. Some clients we would have to obviously schedule posts, do posts for them, and all that. But others we did a bit less work, if that makes sense. Like more just like replying to DMs and comments and stuff. Yeah.
So let's just, I'm going to use a made up scenario. So let's just say Nike is a company that wants to do it. I use monitoring people who are in like run club pages and things like that. And then like there's anyone that's like commenting, oh, maybe we should get into this. Say, for example, you'd message them and say from that page and say, hey, just if you want to get into running, we're selling these new Nike shoes.
Pretty
much.
much.
To get into running.
It's pretty much like that.
I've never ever had that thought that companies work like that. That's cool. That's cool to know.
And they actually can charge quite a bit. It's kind of like I don't know if you've ever heard like the SMMA, social media marketing agency.
Yeah.
It's pretty much that business model. So yeah.
Nice. That's mad, bro. That's mad. I might even start implementing some of those techniques into my own personal branding, to be honest. That's a good idea.
May as well. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Mad.
But I guess we'll divert back to
Yeah.
what I was mentioning. So
The epiphany.
Yeah. That's right. The late night epiphany. But like I was saying, the work was pretty easy. Didn't do much, and then if we didn't have any work to do, we were able to do whatever we wanted. And at this job initially, I was like, I took advantage of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
good.
I was just like, not in a good way at the start though.
Yeah.
I was like just watching YouTube, just wasting my time, playing games, doing all this and doing all that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I just kind of had this epiphany. I'm like, what am I actually doing with my life? Like, is this actually what I want to do? Right? Do I want to be sitting here at 3 a.m., on this, like at this computer desk in this, shitty office? Is this what I want for my life? You know what I mean? And I kind of just flipped the switch, and I'm just like, look, like if I'm going to, live a life that I want to live, I have to make it happen from now. So pretty much from there, I, did what I had to do, got started with everything. And I pretty much just thought of any possible way I could give back and could help people out. And the only thing I'm really good at, and I've ever been really good at, has been, being consistent with the gym, building a good routine, and obviously, just general, nutrition, gym, and obviously training, right? And I felt that, I could give back in that aspect. So that's kind of, the backstory, I guess, and how everything started.
I like that. It's definitely a massive realization to know that how. Because I guess for me personally, I can't speak for everyone, but for a long part of my life, I thought, how can I make as much money as possible? Realistically, like what can I do to get everyone's money? Because all I have so far is my trade experience, which is my time in labor. That's all I've got. So what product can I sell that's going to make me the most amount of money? Like I need the next fidget spinner. I need something like that, But the realization that I've learned lately is, and I believe we talked about this last time, is that what can I do for others? What problems can I help solve? That the goal of life isn't to make as much money as possible. The goal of life is actually to help as much people as possible with myself, and then the money will come in response to what I'm offering other people. So to be able to identify pretty young what you're good at and to know, right, this is something that I can help other people with is actually a pretty fucking crazy thing, dude, because I'm 26 and I don't even know how recently I had that realization, It's admirable. It's admirable. Is that the word? Admirable.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that a lot, man. It means a lot. But I think, you found what you wanted, you know what I mean? And you're doing everything you can in your power now. So big props to you, bro.
Thanks, bro. I haven't even found what I wanted yet. I've found a couple of things that I enjoy, and I'm building something in which I want to be able to turn into that version that you found. But I'm fucking far from it. Yeah. I've got my fucking eggs in too many baskets, dude. I'm fucking trying to do
like
this
we were speaking about last time, and I think that just like I was mentioning, I think it's easier to really nurture one thing for over a long period of time and what really see that grow. Mm-hmm. Because if you put too many eggs in one basket, you can't really focus solely on that and really focus on really growing that thing. I think there's a saying, I don't know who it's from, but it's like, you can do two things very well, but as long as if you add that third thing, it's just like everything sort of crumbles, if that makes sense.
It's so facts, bro. It's facts. I gotta be honest, that's facts. But I would love to be the outlier, you know what I mean? Because out of every statistic I've ever heard, there's always an outlier, you know what I mean? Like there's always everyone's born with 2 arms, 2 legs. It's just part of being a human, but someone's not, you know what I mean? There's always like, you have to go down this traditional route in order to get success in whatever field, like whether it be like world champion kickboxer or whether it be like super successful businessman. You have to go down these steps, but there's always the guy who didn't, you know what I mean? Like I'm begging the universe and I'm working towards it. I want to be the guy who spreads his eggs into every basket and just becomes successful at all of them, bro, I'm fucking gambling with that.
No, I don't necessarily think that you're gambling with that. I just think that everything needs some time, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, undoubtedly, it's a great thing to want to be, multifaceted and be skilled in a lot of areas. It just, I think you need to take some time to focus on one at a time. If that makes sense. So you may spend like a couple of years being really good at one thing, then spending another couple of years being really good at another thing.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, that is a more of a route that I am trying to go down towards. Realistically, I'm not trying to spend my day too much going, oh, I better do an hour of this, an hour of that, an hour of this, an hour of that. I am trying to look at it from a sense of, right, let's spend 4 years doing this, then 4 years doing that.
No, awesome. No, I'm glad.
Yeah, but then it's like the one that I did fucking 12 years ago, that's done. You know what I mean? Like that skill's lost.
No, 100%. But I think just bouncing off that, a lot of people do kind of have that mindset where it's like, you only give something your attention for 2 months, and then, if it doesn't work out, then sack it completely.
Yeah.
And it just comes down, I think, to that instant gratification that we were speaking about, last conversation. It's a really big issue, and I think that it's stopping a lot of people from getting to where they want to get to at the end of the day. But it's not necessarily, our fault, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel that, social media has really played a big part on it, part of that. And just, how the media is, today in a society, it's just inevitable, to not want to achieve some sort of, fulfillment as quickly as possible, if that makes sense.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I know that in my everyday life. Like, I think it might just be part of the natural human foundation, but to be honest, because like, I remember being a kid growing up, picking up skateboarding, for example, right? And then just giving it my 100% focus to learn how to do. I want to be one of these guys that I watch on YouTube, sponsored by Emoji or sponsored by fucking this and that, and then pick up a skateboard, give it everything to be able to do a kickflip, be able to do a kickflip, feel like I've got my level of gratification, and then let's pick up BMX bike, you know what I mean? But then like, I guess depending on how much you really do love something depends on whether you are going to commit to doing that thing forever. I don't think that necessarily people should just pick one thing and commit to it forever. Pick one thing, pick a goal in that thing in which you want to get towards, dream big, dream as large as you want. But once you hit that thing, I think it's okay to kind of drop it off and pick up something else, Like, I think that's a pretty fair thing. It's even like instruments. People, obviously everyone dreams of being the best guitar player, drummer, singer, rapper, all these things. But if you put out one good song or you can learn how to play one good thing, you might hit that thing in which you felt, accomplishment, And then I think it's pretty normal and natural to go into the next thing.
No, of course. Without a doubt. I agree. But I think, like we're also mentioning, that a lot of people nowadays just don't put that time and effort into it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That is necessary to see that growth.
And you'll never become great at the thing, but you'll at least become proficient, and I think you'll become okay. I got one mate, shout out to Damo. I'm always fucking going back and forth with Damo. It's like, he's proficient at a lot of shit, like good at a lot of shit. He's not great at a lot of shit, but he's better than me at everything. Realistically, and it fucking pisses me off. So at least my goal is if I can be better than him, I'm happy. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
No, I feel like everyone, knows that sort of person that's just like kind of good at everything, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of hard to explain, I guess. Like,
annoying, bro.
100%. Like, it's like one of my cousins. He genuinely like. He's just good at everything, like you were saying, like no matter whether, and he picks up things very, very quickly. Like a lot of people, well, me in particular, like it takes me a lot of time to actually, learn things the proper way and everything. But, I still remember to this day, he's just like, all right, I'm going to learn how to do a Rubik's Cube. And within like 2 days, he figured out how to do it. Yeah. And I'm just like, I could never, I don't know. So it's crazy. 100%.
You'd be surprised, right? Rubik's Cube, once you learn it, it's actually super, super simple. Like it's the biggest flex being able to do a Rubik's Cube, but it really is a very simple thing to be able to do. Have you actually tried to look up the algorithms to learn how to do the Rubik's Cube?
I think once or twice, but I never, like we were saying, like actually committed to learning properly. Do you know how to do a Rubik's Cube?
I can bang a Rubik's Cube. I reckon I can get it in. I hope I can get it today in 50 seconds. I reckon I can get it, hopefully.
That's crazy.
I reckon I can get it in a minute 10, but if I can get 50 seconds, I'll be proud of that. Yeah. But
good,
it's realistically, it's not a flex. If you just give yourself like 2 hours one day, 2 hours the next day, 5 hours for 5 days in a row, you'd be a freak. That's it takes. Not, I reckon an hour a day for 5 days in a row.
Fair.
That's all it takes.
Fair play. Yeah. Are there any other like skills that you know that?
I reckon there'd be a few. Like I've always been like a proficient at random shit, like whether it be like scooters, skateboards, bikes. Like I can pick one up and like do a trick or something. And like something that people would be like, oh, he must be good. I'm not good. I can just get by. You know
I get you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always hard for me to find that one thing that I really want to devote myself to realistically, inevitably. But I think that's that feeling of loss that a lot of people have, which is why I think it's good that you found what I would consider to be your calling, to be like, this is what I want to build my life to be, to help others achieve the thing in which I find passionate about, which I'm good at, I'm good at a couple of things in my life, but it's not something and nothing that I'm good at I want to be able to turn into a career. It's just not, which is, it's cool, bro. And it excites me to keep wanting to find that one thing that just build off this, So it's cool. When you were doing your digital marketing agency, working with them, did you get a realization, or was there much shock to the amount of leads that people can gain just from messaging and cold calling and like following the pages in which people comment on, or whatever this thing? Was it like, holy shit, like there's actually getting a lot of business from using us?
The thing is, it wasn't necessarily for business, if that makes sense. It was more so like just addressing, stupid comments or like silly comments, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like if someone were to say like, I don't know, something bad about the brand, we'd obviously have to hide it. Like it was pretty surface level stuff, to be honest. It wasn't anything, deeper, like actually working and trying to get them leads. And I think that, with social media marketing agencies, a lot of it is more so on the back end doing those simple tasks for people. Mm-hmm. Not obviously there are some aspects of it where it is more so trying to get leads and whatnot, but at least I'd say the one that I worked for, it was pretty surface level stuff, to be fair. So I didn't really get to see too much of that on the back end. But what I did get to see and what I did realize is how much you can charge for so little.
Yeah.
If you brand yourself correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So it's a good paying job realistically then, to be able to monitor people's pages and things like that.
Well, no, not for us.
Employees, yeah, okay.
For like the actual company in itself.
Yeah.
Like I think I can't really, I probably can't disclose this. I'm not going to.
You can give me numbers, but don't say any companies, any brands.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. In a made up scenario, what's the kind of things that these businesses can be doing?
200 a year, grand.
200 grand a year to monitor people's accounts. What the fuck?
Yeah.
200 grand a year. My God, how many employees and stuff would you need to look after one company's content?
I think there was about 4 or 5.
4 or 5
Yeah.
employees.
So the profit margin
What?
is crazy.
4 or 5 employees, and how many clients do you reckon a company can gain with 4? Like how many accounts can be looked after with 4 or 5 employees?
Well, that was just for one. See, that was,
Oh,
it was like one
wow.
big one,
Wow.
but we had like, I think 15 or so of us.
Yeah.
But the company had like, I think 8 or 9 clients.
Yeah.
Like pretty high, like pretty similar to that. So they were doing pretty well.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a fucking good return of investment,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
Pretty
didn't know
good.
there was that much money in that.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of money in the online space.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into, I want to go down the online coaching side of things and how that has started since the epiphany. But just back onto health, fitness,
Talk
bodybuilding,
to me.
all these things related. One thing I'm curious about lately is how much of a role, realistically, does food play on appearance? So obviously, the cleaner you eat, the better. I understand. Everyone knows that. You eat junk food every day, you're going to
Yep.
get fat. You stick to chicken and rice, you're going to look good.
Uh-huh.
How much leniency from your perspective is there on candy, snacks, ice cream, a little bit of chocolate, maybe like a fucking ham and cheese toasty for breakfast? Like how much leniency is there to remove the idealistic physique?
Well, I guess it also depends on your goals, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it also depends. It really depends. That's the question. That's the answer I can give you, because a lot of people can get away with a lot more than others because of their genetics. So say, well, take me for example. Unfortunately, my body's pretty sensitive to whatever I eat, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I put on like body fat pretty quick, so I have to be very strict with what I eat to ensure that that's not the case. But for example, say you get, some genetic freak who can practically eat whatever he wants and still, maintain his abs year round.
Yeah.
Like there's not much you can do, you know what I'm saying? But for the general person, I'd say it's a lot more lenient than you think. But it's all has to stem from a healthy routine, you know what I'm saying? So you can't be obviously going out and eating crap, practically every day or, 3 or 4 times a week. But if you have that occasional meal, I'd say once to twice a week, you'll be sweet, as long as you're eating clean for the majority of the week. I'm sure you can attest for the same.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed major differences in my life the cleaner I eat. But by cleaner, I always considered cleaner to be food in which I thought was going to help me grow or gain or give me energy and things like this. But the cleaner I'm starting to understand for me personally is just about simple ingredient foods. Like I don't even know if I eat that much protein realistically. Like, and I find that I'm getting a better and better physique every week because I'm eating so much. When I'm hungry, I eat fruit. You know what I mean? Or my snacks lately have been a little bit bad. I can't lie to you. But like I try and keep them towards a muesli bar or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
100%.
And it makes a massive difference, bro. And I realistically don't eat that much protein. Like I don't.
Have you ever tracked your calories or
Macros or anything like that? I did a long time ago. I tried to track them, but like I think now I pretty much have a steak for dinner. That'd be my protein, and maybe through the day, whether it be a couple sausages or a bit of chicken, and that's maybe. Most of the time through the day, it's just fruit. I think I have a steak a day, and that's all I need. Yeah,
I think I definitely could up the protein a bit, but
yeah.
no, without a doubt, I think no, you're right. Like, of course, the cleaner you eat, the better you're gonna look, the better you're gonna feel, and the better you're gonna perform. Right, the better they're gonna recover. But unfortunately, a lot of people, it's kind of unrealistic to be so strict and so meticulous all the time, like similar to how I am, and that's why I think bodybuilding is like arguably one of the toughest sports in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's 24/7. It's not like, well, for example, basketball, like I used to play, where obviously without a doubt the training and the intensity is high, right? You're doing a lot of cardio. It's very high intensity, short bursts, if that makes sense. But when you go home, you can eat whatever you want. You know what I mean? It's not like, you go, you train as hard as possible, right? But you can't train too hard or else, you're going to impair your recovery. But you also have to come home and, eat this and eat that at a specific time to help you, boost recovery, boost, protein synthesis. And then, obviously you can't eat carbs too close to bed because, you're going to stuff up, your sleep. And then also got to stay, relatively, not stressed, right? You got to stay calm throughout the day because you don't want your physique to mess up and hold on to extra water, you know. And if you don't go to bed at the same time at the right time, you're gonna, you know, mess up your natural sleep pattern, which will affect your physique and affect your performance. Like there's so many more things you have to take into account.
Yeah.
It's crazy, but
Yeah.
it's really, really, you know, rewarding at the end of the day.
I think one of the hardest things to judge something by is not by what you have to do, it's what you can't do. You know, like when you give yourself like 2 hours at the gym every day, that's not that hard. But when you tell yourself you can't do something for 4 hours of the day, like that's obviously a way harder thing than things you have to do. You know, I find that to be the case. Anyway, it's always been the case for me. The hardest thing isn't going to work for 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. It's not, when I was younger, going out and partying at night. You know, that's the harder thing than actually going to work. You know,
100%.
It's what you can't. It's what you can't do.
100%. And I think a lot of people find it difficult, and they just they can't come to terms with, you know, how they're, you know, like they try everything they can, right, to get in good shape, or they try everything they can from what they hear online to try and implement it. But at the end of the day, it's mainly because it comes down to your lifestyle.
I was just about to say this word, bro. Lifestyle, yeah.
If you kind of have to completely change your lifestyle in order to live that life and get and achieve that physique and achieve, you know, the state of being that you want to, if that makes sense. If you're obviously, you know, going out drinking, eating crap, you know, this and that, but want to, you know, achieve a good body, like, are you going to? You know what I mean? You kind of have to shift and start prioritizing the right things. It's tough, but it can be done. And I think that if you make those non-negotiables and you know, not those non-negotiables, you know, a part of your daily life, you're gonna get to where you want to get to at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think non-negotiables is not an easy one. I can't say it's an easy one, but
No.
it is a easier thing for me to say. My non-negotiables is I have to train every day I can, realistically, as long as I'm not missing out on getting enough sleep or missing out on work, things like this. So I have to do this. The hardest non-negotiables are like, I can't eat fucking, let's just say junk food, for an example. Like that's the harder non-negotiable. Again, it comes back to that thing. It's harder to do the things you can't do than to do the things you have to do, you know? That's the hardest thing for me. So to stick to a diet is crazy, to the level in which you're sticking to it. Because I've seen the videos, bro, and it's you're taking scales to the restaurant, bro.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know. It's pretty cooked.
Yeah.
It's pretty cooked, but I don't know. It's just me. I've always had like an all or nothing mindset when it comes to everything in my life. And if I'm not following everything to a T, I don't feel like I'm giving my best effort. You know what I mean? And I'd rather go in and give it 100 and not do as well or potentially fail, knowing that I gave it my all.
Yeah.
Because if I had that what if moment, then I don't know if I would be able to, you know, sleep at night, to be honest.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. That's cool. It's most people don't have that feeling until it's too late. You know, realistically, I have that feeling once it's too late. Every day. I'm like, yeah, it'll be sweet. It's fine. I can get away with doing this, and then I do it, and I'm like, I shouldn't have done it, bro. I shouldn't have done it. You know, that voice is not strong going into it, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not strong at all. That's cool, bro. That's cool. I am curious as well, like, because I am trying to remain as healthy as possible, but I do love my snacks and sweets and sugars above all. Candy's my number one thing. So I'm just curious as well, for my own education, from your perspective, can someone get away with eating sugar realistically, like candy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like none of the boys I work with, like, you know, don't do what I do pretty much. Like, yes, I give them their plan throughout the week that I'm like, yes, stick to it. But I incorporate, you know, off-plan meals, right? And a way to give them that outlet, right? To kind of reset themselves, you know, physically as well as mentally, right? And kind of just, you know, let loose and enjoy life, you know what I mean? Because you can still get results at the end of the day and still enjoy your life. And you can go out and eat those sweets, bro.
Yeah.
As long as you're, you know, training hard and as long as you get back on track, you know, as soon as possible, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset and that I try to instill into the boys that I work with, because a lot of people think that it's like, well, like me, right? Unfortunately, it's like all or nothing, right? But it's actually not the case when it comes to just getting in great shape or just general shape. You know what I mean? Obviously, different context if you're trying to, you know, bodybuild like I am, or, you know, you're in prep or you're trying to get as shredded as possible. Like, that's obviously a very, very different context. But if it's just generally losing weight, you know, building muscle, getting in really, really solid shape, it's completely fine.
Yeah. All right, sweet. I got the approval, bro. I'm going to get a Burger King.
That's it, bro.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is a big misconception as well that I find that all or nothing lifestyle mentality can be detrimental to some people, because I find that if I set myself a crazy goal, like I want to be able to, let's just say, run a marathon. It's actually one of my goals that I have to do this year. It's pissing me off because I've only got like a month and a half. Yeah, I know, it sucks, but I will do it. I said I'll do it this year, so I will do it. But if I tell myself I have to run 5Ks every day, and then every second Saturday run a 10, and then double it to a 20 every month, if I don't run the 5K every day, that all or nothing mindset kicks in. It's like, fuck it. You know what I mean? I've missed 2 days in a row where I haven't ran 5Ks. So it's like, let's just scrap the whole thing. I was like, let's just not bother going Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Because I missed, and people are like that with the gym as well. They miss the Monday, Tuesday, and that all or nothing mentality always gives people the excuse to go, I'll start next Monday. You know, I'll start in January. I'll start in next year, you know. But that all or nothing mentality, if you can use it in the right way, it's good. If you're already on track, to keep you on track. But people lean on it the other way, bro, and it pushes them further off track, you know?
100%. It's definitely something that, like I was mentioning, I try and instill into my boys as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, and you worded it beautifully, like if you go in and, you know, you miss that one day, or you don't follow your diet that day, a lot of people just think like, you know, stuff it, why not? I'll just go and binge, or I'll just, you know, completely, like, why bother, and why start in the first place? But undoubtedly it's building those consistent habits over time, and, you know, just getting back on track. That's going to essentially get you to where you want to get to at the end of the day. Like one day, you know, in the grand scheme of things, isn't going to, you know, kill your progress.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And it's funny because so many people preach the idea that one day will kill your progress, bro. But one day is so natural and normal, because life is unpredictable and life can just throw you curveballs at any point. Like I could be, like tomorrow, I could realistically be at work for 20 hours. Like I have no idea how long I'm going to have to be there. Something could go wrong and I'm just stuck there forever. And then that, for a lot of people, would set them up for a bad week moving forward at the gym, you know? But if I'm starting to learn now, which I'm not, it's only a recent endeavor I'm going down. If I miss one day, I've missed one day, you know, I haven't missed a week, you know. So easy to fall off. It's so easy to fall off, bro. It's so easy. You know?
for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. But yeah, that's cool, bro. And you did mention last time, which is what I want to ask again for anyone who's interested as well. Like you're working at Elite Supplements.
Yes.
So from a supplementation point of view, what would you recommend something for everyone who is either already at the gym or wanting to get into the gym to be able to start taking?
All right. So the pretty basic stack, right? It's probably the big three, like everyone's probably heard of. It's just creatine, protein, and obviously pre-workout, right? Some sort of, you know, pre-workout to help you, whether it be, you know, stimulant or non-stimulant, to, you know, give you some energy before the gym. You know, protein obviously to help you recover after, and obviously just get your protein intake higher throughout the day. And then creatine to obviously, you know, give you extra energy, readily available energy to, you know, push in the gym. And as well as that, you know, just fill up your muscles and give you a better chance to build more lean tissue, right? Those are the main three. All these are like extras that you can chuck in, but there's probably one that I would, you know, recommend for most people, like I was saying last time, that I think a lot of people, you know, sort of overlook. So the next one I would say is L-glutamine, like we were saying last time. Pretty much L-glutamine is the most abundant amino acid we have in our body, and it's really important in, you know, lining our small intestine, like obviously our gut lining, and in your small intestine is pretty much where all your nutrients are absorbed. And if you can optimize and improve the way your nutrients are absorbed, you're obviously gonna, you know, utilize the food that you're eating a lot better to obviously help you perform better, recover better, and obviously just, you know, overall look better. So I think if anyone's got really, really bad digestion, they should start taking glutamine, you know, undoubtedly. The way I'd take it, 10 grams in the morning, fasted on an empty stomach. It doesn't taste great, if I'm honest. You can mix it with something else, but taking 10 grams in the morning is the best way to go about it. If you want it for, you know, performance and recovery, you know, you put some in your pre-workout shake and then put some in your post-workout shake. But aside from that, the next thing I would probably say is some sort of amino acids, right? So, BCAAs and EAAs, and putting them, say, intra workout or even before your workout, it's going to help you, stay anabolic. So, and make sure that you're not catabolic, throughout your workout. So you're building as much muscle and making sure that you're forcing your body to utilize the protein for, repairing and recovering those muscles, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, right, those are probably the basics that I'd say that everyone, should get, right? But the three like stock standard ones, pre-workout, creatine, and obviously protein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, for those 5 subs, obviously working in the supplement store and taking it for yourself, do you know roughly how much a good stack of like 5 supplements would cost the average person per week or per month or anything like that? I know that they all range in prices depending on what brands and whether it be isolate, like fast release, slow release, whether it be stimulant or non-stimulant pre-workouts. But is there a ballpark figure for realistically what it costs someone to look after themselves with supplements per week?
Yeah, per week. Unfortunately, it is quite expensive. Like, let's be honest. But if you want to give yourself that extra edge, right, then undoubtedly you're going to have to invest in it. I'd say like 100 to 200 a week.
That's a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's so much more than I was hoping. I was hoping you were going to say like $50. I was like, yeah, I can do that.
I don't know. I'm pretty bad at math, so I'm probably off with that. But just thinking about it, like the 3 months worth of creatine, it's probably like, it's 50. So like a half a kilo thing of creatine is like $50 where we obviously sell it. Mm-hmm. So that on top of the protein.
Is that for 3 months?
3 months worth.
Okay.
So I've probably done the maths wrong.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you what, I'll try and do these quick maths. So I thought creatine would have been a lot more expensive than that.
No,
That's not bad. $50 for 3 months.
$50 for about 3 months. You've got about, 2 kilo. Well, the protein's pretty expensive, especially because I get protein isolate, which obviously, it's more concentrated. It digests better. They take the lactose out of it, and it's also better for recovery. Digests better for me as well. That's obviously a bit more expensive than just general whey protein. The one I buy, well, obviously we get like a pretty solid discount, but typically it's like $200 for 2 kilos.
And that lasts
it lasts a good amount of time, to be fair. It lasts like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, okay.
Which is all right. And then creatine as well. We already said the creatine. The glutamine, pretty similar price to the creatine. So like $50 for the 3 months. Pre-workout, see that one goes pretty quick because obviously people train 4 to 5 times a week. You probably have a scoop before every workout, and there's like 30 or 40 serves, so that's probably lasts about a month.
Yeah.
So,
and that's how much you reckon a pre-workout is?
Pre-workout's about $70 or $80.
$70-$80 a month. Yeah, so that's another 300. Yeah, and then how much is the last one was amino acids, roughly?
About 60 to 70.
About 60 to 70 bucks. And that lasts 3 months, roughly? Or
if you have a scoop with every workout, similar to pre-workout, probably lasts about a month.
Okay, probably lasts about a month as well. Okay, so it's 21, so it's about... Yeah, it's probably around 80 to 120 bucks a week.
Yeah.
Which is still a lot, though, you know what I mean? Like, it's still a lot. I was hoping it'd be down towards that $50 mark.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, but I think realistically, most people spend over $100 a week on shit anyway, you know what I mean? Absolute shit. So if you're going to be trying to take gym more seriously and look after your physique and your health, you're going to start cutting out some of the bad shit that you're indulging in anyway, and that's just... now open up the room to be able to spend $100 a week on supplements.
Exactly. Like if it just also depends, like we were saying, on your lifestyle and what you sort of prioritize, you know what I mean? Are you going to prioritize going out and drinking and spending like hundreds at a club, on drinks, or are you going to prioritize your health and sleep and wellness? It just really depends what you put your money into at the end of the day and what you prioritize in your lifestyle. So
has that ever been a part of your lifestyle, the going out clubbing, drinking?
I did for like a small period of time, give it a shot. But it was probably the worst I'd ever felt. Like mentally, like I said, I felt, that sort of, lack of purpose. What am I doing with my life? As well as that, like just physically, like you don't feel the best.
Yeah.
And you're just nowhere near as productive as you are with, a good night's sleep, good healthy food and, just good hard training. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so interesting because when I was young and like there was a big part of my life for a very long time. Honestly, drugs and alcohol was a massive part of my life for 5, 6, 7 years, maybe more. And I never ever felt in the moment unproductive, tired, lack of sleep. I never felt my life feeling like it was going down a negative spiral, which it was. I just didn't become aware of it at the moment. I loved my life all the time. I had so much fun. It wasn't until I made a decision to cut that shit out of my life that I actually got to experience the productive, healthy, fit maneuverability of what I can be capable of. And I then had the first realization like, oh, that is a shit way of living. I never had that realization while I was in it. And I bet a lot of people are too. Like, I bet a lot of people do feel like shit while they're doing it. But then I reckon a lot of people don't realize how good they can feel if they don't. I think that's just as likely.
No, I think that's very valid. You never really know, until you kind of experience it for the first time. And I think, God undoubtedly makes that happen.
Yeah.
And puts these things in your life to show you and probably, put you in that right direction, if that makes sense, and sort of have those realizations and those thoughts. I think he really plants the seed and he does his thing, you know what I mean? So
yeah, he does, right? He speaks to you for your stomach, your gut feeling all the time. I always think about that. I always think I can tell when something's not right or not all right and I consider those to be God's messages, those encounters, it's intuition, all that kind of shit. Like that's God saying, yep, going down the right path, or nah, you're doing the wrong thing, bro.
100%.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, I agree.
Yeah. Do you when you started for the first time doing the online, building your online platform and brand and service, all right? One of the questions that I've written down before actually this morning as I was thinking about it was, for me personally, I have a trade background. So when I want to offer my services to people, I have two general routes that I can go down. I can either go the word of mouth route because people in my life know what I already do, or I can do marketing and advertisements. So whether it be post an ad on Facebook or pay for something on Instagram or physically go into a store and I say to people, hey, my name's Jake. I do air conditioning, electrical, refrigeration, blah, 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 whatever. This is what I'm good at. If you have any issues, dramas, if you need anything installed, consider me and I can be your guy. It's a pretty easy sale to be able to get my message across. So I'm curious, like, what is it that you try and word to people to be like, yo, I can help you get into shape? Like, how do you even find the target audience? Like, it's easy for me. I just go, anyone that has an aircon, anyone that has a fridge, I go there. It's like, how, from your perspective, it must be a lot more difficult of a niche and avenue to go down. So I'm curious, for starters, how do you even find people? And then secondly, what do you say to people?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It is a lot more complicated, obviously, than going and, to anyone who has an aircon, you know what I'm saying? That's where it really comes down to knowing who, first and foremost, you're actually trying to serve and who you're speaking to in terms of your content, right? And especially on the online space. If you can really directly speak to that person online and through your content, then you're going to attract that person. Like we were saying, you give out what you get back in return. So if you're directly addressing those people's pain points, what their goals are, what they want to achieve, how you can help them, right? Then you're going to get those people, despite, it not getting many views, it not, getting the engagement that you want, or, it getting as much traction. A lot of people think that, views and followers and everything equals, necessarily more clients. It's not actually the case. I know so many people who market themselves very well, who are very, very good at hitting their target audience with like less than 1,000 followers or even just over. And they're doing like pretty well for themselves, 100%. So it really just comes down to, identifying who you're speaking to, right? Really knowing that person. And then when it comes to actually, like you were saying, trying to, outreach them and trying to, sell pretty much and get you in get them in your funnel. Pretty much, well, the way I go about it is, you go out and send them a message, say, hey, how are you going? Like, my name is JP. I noticed, you know, you liked my content, right? And I just wanted to see what you liked the most about it. You just start practically just a general conversation, and then see whether or not they'd even be a good fit in the first place. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because like I was mentioning to you, I don't necessarily take on everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure you're taking on like good people that actually want to give you, you know, the results that you want, and you know, obviously spread, you know, how good your services are, because they are getting those results. If you're working with people that aren't necessarily, you know, like 100% dedicated, well, they don't necessarily have to be 100% dedicated, but, you know, are doing their best, you know, they might go out and tarnish your name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For doing, you know, as good of a job as you could, if that makes sense.
I feel like in that sense, then there'd be a lot of people who are just trying and clicking and just filling in the time and messaging and saying, yeah, I'll do this, but never actually want to show up. Realistically, you can only really find the people who genuinely do want to better their lives. You know, you can't force a horse to drink. You know, you can only lead it to the water.
That's right, correct. Yeah, 100%. And with that, I think it's really important to find those people to try and distinguish and have some sort of way to qualify the person before going ahead with it, if that makes sense. And you also got to figure out how you differentiate yourself to, you know, just the general online coach, because, you know, at the end of the day, everyone wants to somewhat build muscle, lose fat, and obviously get in great shape. But, you know, you kind of, like I was saying, be very, very direct in who you serve and how your offer is different from everyone else's.
Yeah. Do you find that if you're having a bit of a verbal back and forward, or even text back and forward with someone, and they're saying, yeah, look, I'd like, you know, at some point in the future to be able to get into it, or right now, currently, don't have any time, or it's just too hard, I can't do it. Like, do you find that you have to just sometimes say to people like, all right, mate, well, if you're not ready to make the change, then like, I don't think it's going to work out. Like, my services aren't going to work for you. Like, good luck. If anything changes in the future, kind of thing.
Of course, yeah. Well, but at the same time, typically, most of the time, right, those sort of like time objections and like I need to think about it are like just smoke screens, and they aren't actually true, right? They just, you know, either they do want to do it, and, you know, they're just, you know, scared to take that leap, if that makes sense, and invest, or they either have another objection like underline, and that's hiding under that sort of smoke screen, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I just need to think about it. I think the services are great, but I don't know about that at the moment, blah, blah, blah. Right? Typically there's something underlying, or like they just have a commitment problem and taking that step. And typically that's something, if it's just a commitment problem, you can actually coach the person through it and try and help them make that decision, right? Obviously, you know, if they do want to do that at the end of the day, then they will, if you coach them the right way. But if they don't, and then there's another, you know, objection, you kind of have to, you know, handle that and figure out what it is first, then directly handle it, and then see, you know, potentially if they would still want to do it. Some people, unfortunately, like it happens all the time, and I'm sure everyone in the online space, you know, can attest for this, but, you know, you get to the end of, you know, the call or whatever, and you're like, hey, look, like this is how much it is. And then, you know, that you go through the prices and whatnot, and then they just say, I have to think about it. You try and go through, you know, the way you try and handle the objections as best as you can, but then they just keep on saying, I have to think about it, and I have to think about it. And at the end of the day, those people just want to figure out how much it is, and then just, you know, sack off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is pretty annoying. But
yeah, I bet that's common, but
it is common, unfortunately.
Yeah, I bet it's a bit of a hard disclosure as well, because if people are actively engaging with content in which are about self-development, self-improvement, and not just gaining an idealistic physique, but wanting to change their life, but then you have the conversation with them and there's excuses more than anything, you know, with, it's a bit too much money, or I can't, you know, I don't want to miss out on this, or I have to commit to that, then it's like, there's obviously part of them that wants self-improvement, and there's part of them that's not, you know what I mean? So you kind of, it must be a difficult thing to figure out which one do they want more, because you're only ever going to do what you want. That's what I'm realizing. Like if I wanted to be on partying every weekend, that's what I would do. It's only that I want to not party more than I'm not. If I still wanted to be partying more, I would be doing that.
100%.
So that must be a difficult thing to do as well, because I like to say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't drink, drown the cunt because he made you walk all the way there, you know? That's what I like to say. But then again, when you walked that horse all the way to the water, then you got to the end, did he not drink because he was scared to drink, or did he actually just waste your time in walking? You know what I mean? So I bet that's a hard one to work out. You know, what does someone really want?
It is tough at the end of the day, but I think as well as that, it just comes down to really trying to find people with a really strong sense of their why and their purpose in doing so. You know what I mean? Like you said, people don't do things if they don't really want to, like deep down. So if you find those people that, you know, truly have those problems, right, and truly, you know, want to change, that, you know, they will make that step, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know
definitely.
what I mean?
In so doing it, what you've been doing, what was your first approach like? Did you film your first video and put it out there and say, hey, this is something that I want to get into? Well, how did the journey start when it came to putting the content out for the first time to find the clients?
Yeah, so awesome. So to be honest, at the start, I didn't really have any clue at who I wanted to serve or who I actually wanted to help out. Obviously, I just wanted to help out, you know, people who I wanted, you know, who just generally obviously build muscle, lose fat, right? But then later on down the track, I kind of realized that, you know, I wanted to differentiate myself and serve the people that you know, pretty much who I was, my younger self, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But at the start, a lot of people say different things and take different approaches. Some people will say like, post 3 times a day, blah, 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 this and that, right? And pretty much that's what I did. But I ended up actually banking a lot of content before I first, you know, posted it, if that makes sense. So I spent a month before I actually posted anything at all, just making, you know, stupid amount of videos.
That's mad.
To just get out there and just learn. And I think I spent that whole month doing so, like every day. And I think I banged out like 90 videos in a month. And then I posted 3 times a day for that first month.
Mad.
But then I didn't post as consistently till then, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of how I approached it at the start. I didn't necessarily have as much direction as I have now, and not as much clarity in who I was serving and how to actually do that. And it is difficult to do so. And content, although people may think that it's, you know, it's pretty simple and it's easy, it's actually a lot more difficult than it seems.
Yeah, damn straight it is.
And there is an art to it, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes than people realize.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely a job slash hobby, you know, doing content. It's not as simple as picking up the camera and pressing record. Don't get me wrong, that's how you start. Like, there's no other way to start than doing that. But you quickly realize the fine, minute details you have to put into every single fucking video to stay on point and to get better, you know. It's a fucking never-ending journey of more and more information.
Without a doubt. And the unfortunate thing is that people who want to go into the space and want to just learn how to, you know, improve themselves, or even just start, you know, content or start anything, right? There's a lot of information out on the internet, which is a great thing, but it's also bad because there's so much conflicting advice, even from, you know, the same people, if that makes sense. So for example, I saw the other day Mr. Beast talking about him starting content and how he would, you know, go about, if he was obviously, you know, starting out again, how he would go about it. In one video, he's like, I would post 100 videos. I wouldn't necessarily care about the quality of the content. I would just post and you know, just get the reps out, if that makes sense. And you know, try and improve it every single time, like slowly. And then in another video, he goes, oh, I would post like the best quality content, right?
Yeah.
It's like literally contradicting what he said.
Yeah.
So it's obviously difficult for people to know, you know, what's right and what's wrong and how to go, you know, about it. And that's something that I preach as well with, you know, especially in the fitness space. There's so much information on, you know, what diet to follow and what training method to follow. And it's so difficult for people to make that decision for themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I find that it's not as difficult as it might seem. as long as you just take action, like there is no perfect plan. Like if someone says post 100 videos straight away, post 100 videos straight away. If you happen to see the video that says put out the best content, then spend fucking 100 hours making one video, like, but it's just, there is no right way to do it, bro. There's just not, there's just different avenues in which you can look at to get better. But no matter what, with consistency, things are going to get better. So just pick any fucking diet plan, pick any training regime. Like,
I agree.
There's no 100%. Best way. It's impossible.
I agree, definitely. I'm just saying, putting myself in, I'd say the general population's shoes, if that makes sense. Like it is kind of difficult to make that judgment and decision. But like I was going to say as well, you kind of just have to stick with something and go with it. And then you have to obviously make those mistakes, learn and then obviously improve on that. Like,
yeah.
Over time, you will improve at the end of the day with consistency.
Yeah.
So,
and I find that if you just do that, you'll end up merging in every single one of those aspects as possible. And then all of a sudden, you'll be the guy who gives the advice. Post 100 pieces of content, and you'll also be saying in the same video, make it the best video as possible, because they're both routes in which you've gone down to get to who you are today. Like, you have to go down all of them. So just, as you said, pick one, just fucking go with it, bro.
Pretty much.
I guess I'm just not that type of person that struggles to pick a way of doing something. Maybe some people do. I just know personally that it doesn't matter which way. Just pick the thing and then just go towards the thing, There's no best way to do anything, bro. Every UFC champion, every single one has a different story. Everyone has a different training schedule. Everyone has a different diet. I've watched a documentary called Meat Eater on Netflix, and it was about some athletes are all vegan, and it documented like the best of the best are all vegan people. But there's another documentary that I watched that the best are all carnivores, bro.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like, especially, since everyone's trying to spin and say that one thing's the best or one thing's, like their best, if that makes sense. Whatever they believe is the best. But I think the answer kind of lies in the middle of everything. You know what I mean? You take the best pieces of each part and you put it together to form your own opinion, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I just think of it like this. I just think, is someone better than me at something, realistically? Like, it doesn't matter in what field. If someone's better than me at something, I want to do what he does, And then I might find someone better than him that either doesn't do what he does or does extra. Then I'll do what he does. But just pick anyone better than me and I'll do what he does.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, how long into the journey did you get your first client, or even like couple clients or anything like that? How long did it take of this consistency to start seeing some fruits of your reward?
So aside from, I think like we were speaking obviously throughout our last conversation, aside from like just the initial, using my network, right, to start and just, help out as many people as I could for free.
Oh, that's a good, we skipped over that in this episode. That was from another conversation that we had before. So in the beginning, you said you were doing things for free.
Of course.
Yeah.
And still to this day, like if someone needs something or needs some help, like I will. And that's just me, in general. Like I just want to help out and give people as much help as I can with what I know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely at the start, it's very, very crucial to ensure that you're obviously doing stuff for free and trying to help out as many people as you can, right? Build the confidence in yourself that you can actually do it. Build the evidence that you have done it, and obviously, just get those reps in and start learning. Just with anything in life, and I think, just my perspective on it is like the more you do something, the better you are, and the better you will get at it.
Yeah.
With consistency. So yes, 100%. Use your network at the start. Try and help out as many people as you can, and that's pretty much.
Yeah, that's a great thing that I've been seeing a lot online lately when it comes to starting a business in general. Like, get as much experience as you can without charging for it. Very hard things to do in a world of trade and labor and services, but apprentices learn it pretty quickly if they start in my trade in general, because everyone eventually needs an aircon. And then to do a cashier, you're going to do mates rates. It's for your family, it's for your friends, for these kind of people. So you pretty much do it for free. You might make $100 for a day's labor. It's not much at all. And then in doing so, you actually do get your first ever taste and experiences of getting problems that you've never got just being the offsider for someone else doing it. And then eventually by the time you become a tradesman, you are doing air cons for people and you are charging them full day rates and then you make a markup on profit margins and things like this. You're already that guy, but what a lot of tradies don't realize is you've spent that free service time already just spread out across a few years with your friends and family. It's the exact same principles that I'm watching now when it comes to if you want to get into sales, start doing things for the people around you for free, give people your product and ask for a review. Like it's exactly the same mindset and principle, bro, which is fucking fascinating to know that every single endeavor is the same procedure. It's the same procedure. So online coaching and things like this and helping people with fitness goals, it's interesting to know that's also the same steps you take. So
yeah, without a doubt.
I guess for anyone listening, it's the same. If anyone wants to start any business, do it for free in the beginning.
For sure, 100%. And I think it just comes back to, giving and you'll receive in other ways, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, and it comes down to scripture at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You kind of reap what you sow and you give and you'll receive in other ways. And I think especially, just how society's been, built up. And it's like, obviously we were speaking last time, there's the general culture is that, you give and you get, right? So it's like just it's a transactional exchange, if that makes sense. So if I give you something, you got to give me something back, which necessarily shouldn't be the case. You know what I mean? You should, want to give without, expecting anything in return. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's really important.
Yeah. I've said this on the podcast a few times, but there was a study, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever heard or read. I think the first time I came across it, I read it. Let's just say I heard it. Just in case I didn't. But they did a study spread out across many different types of individuals, across many different fields. So there was fitness, business, community, church-based. There was athletic abilities, like all these different types of people in their pursuits of life. And they followed the people who clawed their way to the top of their field, whether it be through a company and they just said, fuck you to everyone around them. They threw people under the bus. They made them look bad so they look better. And then they just got to the top by taking and giving back nothing. Then they followed the type of person who did a trade-based network. So they surrounded themselves with individuals that would help them out and they helped them out as well. And they climbed their way to the top in that form of success by trading. Then there was the other person who did things out of the kindness of their own heart and didn't expect anything in return. So they would do a lot of favors. They would help people in need. There would be charity-based services, anything like that. The person that clawed their way to the top always got to the top the fastest. There was just an inevitability. The person who created an even network of trade eventually got to a place of success with a bunch of other people just as successful as them. And they also lived a happy life, but they didn't get there as fast as the first guy. But they ended up overtaking him in the long run because that person was more alone and solitude. And that person had a bunch of people around them to help continue to grow with. Yeah. The third person who did things out of the kindness of their own heart always made it to the top of the mountain. They were always the person who had the most success, the most happiest life. They always died at the end with the most fulfillment and they were proud of the life they lived. Like in terms of success, the person who did something for people for no other reason than the kindness of their own heart always lived a longer, better, more fruitful life than any other type of person, which is just proof. It's almost recorded proof that is what the Bible has been preaching. It is what the church tells people to do. Like it's proof, bro, that if you do things for others for free, you will live the best life.
100%, bro. 100%. Like you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think that I've never even heard that study. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and
I've said it a lot on the pod, but it's mad. Yeah.
100%.
So in the beginning, you were doing things for service, and then how long did it take before you were starting to monetize your services?
I'd say took like a good 3 to 6 months before I started actually charging anything, which is still it's not a crazy amount of time, but it's also like a solid amount of time as well.
It's still a long time.
Yeah. So it did take that sort of 3 to 6 month mark until I started charging. Even then, it was like peanuts at the start. Like obviously you don't have the credibility, you don't have the the evidence, you don't have anything, right? You kind of have to build something and make something of yourself to actually be able to get people to trust you to do the thing. If that makes sense. And then from there, you know, obviously you just slowly build it up, start charging more. Then, you know, eventually everything, you know, grows. Like I can't really say much else. It's kind of how it is.
Yeah. And then but to tell someone today that if you want to start making money doing something, you have to put in all this time and all this effort, and there's not even any promise, but you ain't going to make nothing until, what will the date be today? By the time this episode comes out, let's just say mid next year. All right. To tell someone that you're not going to make any money until mid next year, but keep going at it and don't stop doing it. And then you might make money. Like, most people ain't going to commit to that, bro. You know, what made you commit to that?
It's just typically the thought of me not necessarily achieving what I wanted to and what I wanted to out of life. I know for a fact that, you know, being cooped up in an office, you know, the general 9 to 5, you know, not having the freedom of my own time, or the freedom of where I want to go and what I want to do, like, as well as that, right, being able to, you know, provide and be a good man for my future family, for my future wife, and obviously for everyone around me, to give as much as possible. If I, like, just having that thought in the back of my head of, you know, what if I don't achieve that? What if I don't become that? Kind of just drives me to be there. You have to have a very, very strong sense of why, and a strong sense of clarity, right? And a strong sense of purpose to why you actually want to do the thing, if that makes sense, to ensure that you get there. It's pretty standard across anything, but if you don't have that why, then you're not going to do it.
Yeah. Aticophobia is the fear of failure. And I think a lot of people I think everyone might have the fear of failure. At least every lad that I've ever met has the fear of failure. At least every lad that I surround myself with has it. Maybe I've met people that don't have it, but it's still a wild thing to go down, and not to go down a traditional route of what today's version of comfortability and success are, which is just get a 9 to 5, earn your salary, get a house which you can't afford, spend the next 30 years paying it off, like get the white picket fence and the Australian dream, bro. Like, it's what a lot of people are going down. I'm glad a lot of people are doing it, because a lot of people are not. So to go down that road, as opposed to go down a constant week-to-week paycheck of indulgence and wasting and gambling and drinking and drugs and all this stuff, like, so many people don't even break out of that. So to get to the next stage of what I consider to be success, which is safety and comfort in bills, is something that I'm proud of and people are doing. But then for someone to take that next step and go, yes, that's an option, but I want more than that. I'm willing to risk not even having that in the first place for that safety, and just stick to something that isn't paying any bills for now, is so admirable. Because I want to know, like, how do you even get over that initial fucking fear? Like, that's a scary thing to do, bro. You know what I mean? Like, so many people just want $1,000 a week paycheck for just showing up, because they know that they're going to have $1,000, you know what I mean? And in 50 years, they're still going to have $1,000. But to go 6 months without even earning money from doing so it's a lot of time involved. So I wonder, was there much passion involved in what you were doing outside of the dream in which it would become?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in that sense, then, like, what was the passion in what will you find the fulfillment in doing so if it wasn't paying the wages? What was the part of it that was keeping you happy outside of the dream in which it will be? You have to enjoy the journey. You know, if without enjoying the journey, you're never going to get anywhere. So what part of it were you enjoying other than just imagining what your life could be like later?
I think just the learning aspect of it all.
Oh, yeah.
And the constant improvement.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. I think that's the very, very strong values of myself. I think you have to constantly learn throughout life, and if you're constantly, you know, ignorant, and you think that your views and your way is the best, that it's obviously not a very, very good way to go about things. You know what I mean? Being open-minded undoubtedly is very important, and I think especially now, a lot of people struggle to be open-minded as open-minded as possible, to hear a lot of opinions and to actually formulate their own opinion and formulate their own self, because they're hearing everything, you know, that they're being fed on social media, and as well as that being fed, you know, at school. And like we were saying, you know, in our last conversation, it's tough to know that you're doing your best job at parenting your kids when your kids are going off, you know, 8 hours a day at school, you know what I mean? And you're not, you know, essentially parenting them at that point. Like how do you know what the values you're going to instill into your children are being, you know, tarnished by whatever they're being taught at school. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. Then you did mention to me before we had our conversation that through this journey of wanting to help people get back into a peak state in which they were originally at, or even just help people lose fat in general or gain muscle in general, you found yourself taking on more of a load than you originally signed up, or at least known that you're going to sign up for, you know?
For sure.
How long into this journey did you realize that you were going to be assisting people in life outside of this? You know, how long did that start to happen?
I'd say probably about a year in. Yeah, about a year in.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, you know, people genuinely started opening up to me about their problems and came to me, you know, seeking advice and stuff, and that I actually felt that, you know what, I'm actually making, and I have an obligation to make a real big difference in these people's lives, you know what I mean? And that the fact that they're opening up to me shows me that they are comfortable with me, you know what I mean? And I think that's, you know, I'm obviously very grateful for that. And potentially it's something that God's given me, and God has told me or shown me to be able to sort of serve them, if that makes sense, to be able to serve people in that way as well, rather than just the general, you know what I mean? Just build muscle, lose fat, and then that's pretty much it. Just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I really want to make sure and like I said, ensure men have that strong sense of purpose and that clarity in where they want to go, because too many men, especially in society today, don't know what they're doing with their life and don't know where they want to be. If that makes sense. So having that strong sense of purpose and strong sense of why is going to, you know, benefit society as a whole.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely. And did you find that these people that were reaching out and opening up more, were they your already existing clients? Were they people that you're already helping on their fitness journey? Or was it just like potential clients, or like what was the original people that were starting
It was more people that I worked with directly, but even people that I would reach out to and have conversations with would just open up to me as well. And like, obviously it's very flattering, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just, you know, I'm very grateful to be in a position to help people out the way I do.
Yeah, that's mad, bro. It's mad to be able to help people in life, not just within one avenue in which you're trying to say, this is what I can do as a service, you know what I mean? But when people come to you like, yo, my life sucks, bro, and you can just give them that little piece of advice, like, fuck, that's the best feeling in the world, bro, helping someone out of something.
100%,
you know?
bro, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, undoubtedly, like, hearing that, you know, you've changed their lives for a better, and you've changed someone's life for the better is like, there's no other feeling. It's the most fulfilling thing ever.
Yeah.
Like, on the weekly, I get messages from all the boys I help out, and saying, you know, how grateful they are for me helping them out, and you know, getting them to where they want to get to, and obviously, you know, helping them out in that aspect as well. So
yeah,
there's no better feeling, bro. Truly.
That's fucking incredible, bro. When these people are reaching out for advice on, or just opening up about certain things, and you're giving your opinion, where do you get your sense of judgment for their situations from? Like, are you genuinely trying to assist them? Are you more just listening and opening to them event? Or like, are people asking like, what should I do in this situation? Like, what's the kind of conversation?
It's a bit of both. So sometimes there's obviously different conversations, right? So some people just genuinely want to get stuff off their head, right? Get stuff off their chest, which is completely fine. I'm all eyes and all ears. But some people genuinely do want advice. And a lot of that comes from, I just guess, you know, my experiences growing up and sort of just my own views of how I see the world. That makes sense. And I give, you know, my best advice and my best, you know, foot forward to help them as best as I can. Makes sense. It's not necessarily, you know, my advice may not 100% fix the issue, but it may give them a bit more sense of, like a bit more sense of, you know, peace, and, you know, a bit more sense of direction with how they may tackle the issue, if that makes sense.
And are you doing it from a sense of like, you kind of already know this person's goals, and I guess you kind of would have to know what people want in general moving forward, so then when they do come up with problems, like, is it just a bit more of a reminder, like, hey, what did you tell me before? Like, you said you wanted to do this. Does this align with that? Does it?
For sure, it's sort of that, but I think as well as that, it's just sort of me like having that belief in them, if that makes sense. Like, I think a lot of people struggle on their own to get to where they want to get to, because they don't necessarily, have a lot of confidence in themselves. And building, and if they have that person just in the root of their corner, in their back corner, just saying like, bro, I believe in you. You know what I mean? I believe in you. Just keep on going, and have that full-fledged confidence in themselves, despite what they may think. It's very powerful to help them get them to where they want to get to, and just, achieve anything, and sort of just, get out of a hole that they're in, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what you would consider, because my next question I was going to ask you would be like, what do you think is some of the main main problems that men have realistically? Like, is it just that they don't have anyone to believe in them, let alone themselves? Or like, what do you find that most people struggle with in general?
I think people, like I was mentioning, aren't as confident in themselves as they should be.
Yeah.
For one. Two, obviously they don't necessarily have that sense of direction or sense of, purpose in where they want to go. And I guess they just don't have like a really, really strong network of people to make them feel heard. Unfortunately, a lot of men are lonely, and they don't necessarily, have that community around them to make them feel like included and feel, safe, and also feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. And like I said, unfortunately, the majority of men feel very lonely, most of the time. And, sort of building that community and building those people of like-minded, individuals, and as well as that, just having people in the back, in their back corner, like actually rooting for them and actually giving them confidence, as well as building confidence in them. Like, undoubtedly, you're going to get to where you want to get to, and undoubtedly you're going to, be much more purposeful and have a lot more clarity in where you want to go.
I think there's a couple points there I want to go over. The first one would be the last one that you mentioned would be, I think a lot of people are lonely. A lot of men are lonely. And I've noticed this in my own experience in life so far, is that when a lot of lads get into a relationship, they forget about the boys, and the boys is a very powerful term, because it's not necessarily one group of solid day one original people. The boys is a collective group of people who can consistently change in and out of your life. So your boys today might not be your boys next year, but you're sticking to men in general, and then one guy might get into a relationship and then he's out. You know what I mean? You don't see him for 6 months to a year, and then all of a sudden someone who just got out of a relationship might come in, or someone might have just moved to the area and now he's come join the group. But the boys is a broad term for just, surrounding yourself with lads. But I feel like a lot of lads get into a relationship, they remove themselves from hanging out with lads in general, and then they struggle if that relationship comes to an end, whether they realize that person wasn't for them, or they break up with them, or anything happens like that, or they don't really have anyone else anymore. You know what I mean? And I worry for a lot of people that they get into long-term relationships or commitments to work or move places, and they never find themselves a good group to stick with outside of their one commitment. And then when that one commitment falls apart, they have no one else anymore. You know what I mean? So I think that no matter what your endeavor is, and a lot of people, and this is so contradicting, because I've heard a lot on the internet lately that there's going to be a lonely chapter in everyone's commitment to greatness, whether it be to open a business and start up a company, or whether it be to go into a crazy fitness journey or athletic ability, or even a long-term marriage, whatever you're committing to. People like Alex Hormozi, he says it a lot lately, and Chris Williamson says it a lot lately too. There's going to be a lonely chapter. And they say this lonely chapter is inevitable, and you're going to have to go through it in order to be great. And it's like, I hear what they're saying, bro, but I fucking think that's the worst advice, to be honest. I think people should hold on to their people, and then but keep their goals in mind. Like, always stay on path, but never let go of the boys in general, because what if something happens? The business might not work out. And it's like, because another competitive agency's grown quicker and faster than you, and now they've removed your entire network of customers, or the trend in which you are participating in is no longer a trend anymore. No one's buying books, they're buying audio books, or anything can go wrong in your plan. So I don't agree with this lonely chapter, bro. And I think that a lot of men suffer with it in the long term, because they are too focused on their main goal, and they're not holding on to the boys in general. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to explain
it does. And I hear what you're saying. I do. But I think, as well as that,
I love this. You're politely arguing with me. I want you to
No.
argue with me. Play
No.
devil's advocate to my point.
I will.
Yeah.
Because, say, for example, right, in your situation, obviously you did mention the point that, the boys is a kind of, subjective term. If that, not necessarily subjective, but it can change.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the mates you had, in the past when you were obviously, down a different path, right? The drugs, the drinking and that, probably much different to the boys and the friends that you have now. Is that correct or no?
From my perspective, it's different. So I never stopped. I've been sober for 2 years now, 25 months this month.
Congrats, bro.
Thank you, because it came with a big change in my life and my priorities. Like I had to focus on other things that I wanted more than that lifestyle. But I never stopped hanging out with my people. My people remain the same.
Okay.
I would just go out clubbing or whatever, someone's birthday or someone's 21st or someone's wedding. It doesn't matter what it is, and I would just not drink. I would drive myself there and I'll drive myself home. And I would drive most of the time there, so I had to drive myself home. And there was still a long chapter in my life where benders and hotels and all these things were still a big part of my life. And I would just go, show my face, hang out, talk to everyone while they're off their face and laugh with them and have fun. And guarantee half these people aren't even going to remember my conversation, but it's like I got to spend time with the people who I love, I thought that what I loved was the thing in which I was doing, but it was actually just the people I was doing the thing with that I loved. So I just removed the thing and kept the people. So there was even a very early on stage where I was a big stoner for years and years and years. And I would still go to the sesh houses and I would hang out there and not smoke, and it was difficult. It took a long time to master the disciplinary aspect of it because I didn't remove myself from the environment, but I've still got all of those friends, dude. Every single friend I've still got from different groups, different areas, and all I did was remove the thing. I didn't remove the people. And I feel like a lot of people were giving advice to remove themselves from the people, and I get scared that, for me personally, I'm a very codependent person. I need people. If I don't have people, I'm done. Like I value people more than anything else. So that's why. And if that answers the question, I've rambled a little bit.
No, it does. No, it makes sense.
I've completely forgotten your whole question.
No, it's all good. And I think, like we were saying as well as that, it makes sense why that's sort of the case. Because like you said, you were sort of that codependent person, right? But you're not necessarily very comfortable being by yourself, right? And I think that's obviously what we were speaking about last time, but that's, could be more than the opposite for me. Like I'm pretty comfortable with who I am, and I'm pretty comfortable being by myself. And while I hear you in terms of the fact that, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As many people as you should, right? You should keep them in your life. But in my opinion, if they're not like necessarily, I don't know, with the vision, for one, two, don't necessarily have the same lifestyle to understand where you're coming from, and three, like, I don't know, not necessarily, benefiting you and helping you get to where you want to get to, like, should they be there?
That's a good question, dude. That's a great philosophical question in general. You know what I mean? I'm not saying my answer is the right answer, like whether they should be there or not, because they aren't helping you get to where you want to get to, that's a good question. Should they remain? And yes, there has been people in which I've decided to cut out of my life, but it's not because they weren't helping me get to where I want to get to, because I can get to where I want to get to on my own. I've stopped hanging out with some people because I thought they were bad people. You know what I mean? Not because they weren't on my path in which I'm heading towards, I feel like I can get to where I want to get to with my own set of discipline, my own set of rules, but it is that codependency where I don't want to be solitude and all that shit definitely comes into play.
No, I hear you.
Yeah.
And I guess that just comes down to obviously the differences in character, right? Like obviously you thrive more, you're probably definitely a lot more extroverted, but obviously I'm a bit more introverted, like naturally, you know what I mean? So I guess it just comes from person to person and what they value and how they just are naturally. So I think, interesting. It's interesting.
Two different looks out of the same subject.
For sure. 100%.
Yeah.
But I get you in the sense that, you shouldn't necessarily cut everyone off and, just think, you're going to rise to the top with no one, if that makes sense. But it is a tough it's a tough dilemma.
Oh
if
yeah,
that makes sense.
bro. One of my mates, I'm not going to say who or where he's from, because everyone listening pretty much knows who exactly this person would be if I talk about them. But they say things to me like, I'm cutting everyone out of my life who isn't on the same path as me. If you're not here, if you're not out there getting after it, killer, savage, like mentality kind of thing, in whatever realm it be, whether it be in money or just growth or education or whatever it is, like, he's like, I don't want to waste my time with that type of person, which is a very valid way to live your life. And I say to him, like, I don't give a fuck what they're doing. You know what I mean? I just want to know them and hang out with them and talk to them. Like, I don't care if he's on what path he's on, you know what I mean? And we are inseparable in a way, but we have a whole different way of looking
Like
at
perspective
the world,
of it, 100%.
you know?
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying. Like, I completely get it. I'm not saying necessarily that my way is right, but this is coming back to that point in loneliness that I feel like a lot of people suffer from, you know? Some people are lonely. A lot of people are lonely, bro. I think I said to you last time, I think 1 in 10 people have no one in their life, bro. And I wonder if it's because those people decided to remove themselves from their lifestyle or not. You know, that's what I wonder. I don't know, but I wonder.
100%. But I think as well as that, you know, the quality is much more important than the quantity, if that makes sense.
That's true.
And if you nurture the ones closest to you, like say for example your partner, right, and ensure that relationship is very strong, and you have that sense of security that they're not gonna necessarily leave or necessarily not, you know what I'm saying, like when that finishes, because that's the kind of example that you gave. Like who says if you nurture that relationship and ensure that you guys are very, very strong, together as one, that not necessarily that you don't need those friends, but you don't necessarily have to depend on those friends because the relationship is so strong, and that you do have so much trust and so much, essentially trust in the fact that you guys are, together through anything.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like you were saying, not many people do have that sense of security and that sense of, trust with someone. And the people that they choose to be their partner, if that makes sense. Unfortunately, so.
You know what it is, realistically, bro? I think it might be, and we might be getting to the deep of a therapy session for me, and I think it's just trauma-based things. Like, I think
based off your past relationships,
based on past relationships, based on past friendships or hobbies or interests. Like,
100%.
I think I do spread myself out realistically, and that's why, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, that I'm not, and I haven't found anything that I'm willing to dive 100% into, and I want to spread myself across so many factors of life. You know what I mean? Because, and it's the same thing I am with people. Realistically, I have the same mentality with people, but I think that it's always been that way for me. I know everyone says give something 100% effort, and it's just like, I don't know if I kind of struggle with that idea in case, you know what I mean? It's almost like safety, bro. You know what I mean?
100%, 100%. Like, that's the thing though. If you, like I was saying, if you go 100% on it, and you always, no matter what, you kind of have to be a bit delusional to an extent. No matter what, this is gonna happen, right? You can't think of the what if. You can't think of this. You can't think of that. You just gotta go out and make it happen, and think that there is no plan B. If that makes sense. That's kind of how I've gone throughout everything in my life. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
That I heard Phantom say that. Do you know Phantom from the AMP? He's a streamer, Phantom.
actually, no, I haven't.
He's like one of the boys with Kai Cenat and Duke Dennis and all those. But he's one of those boys, and here's the Phantom tax. So he'll walk into everyone's stream, kick the door open, and take their food and leave. That's the Phantom tax.
Really?
Yeah. He's funny, but he said something like, there was never gonna be a plan B. He's like, the people asking about his success, and he's like, how do you feel about the safety aspect, or what if it doesn't work out? What's your plan B? And he's like, there is no plan B. This is the only option we ever had. Why do you think we're successful? Like, this is plan A, and there's only plan A.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think it comes down, as well as that, just, talking back to, God and faith and whatnot. It's just undoubtedly having faith, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that everything will work out, and that, your, life is being guided in a great way. You know what I'm saying? Through all the good and the bad, everything happens for a reason. And ever since coming to faith, I think something that a lot of people don't talk about is just the overwhelming sense of peace that you feel.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just throughout life. I used to be very, very like big overthinker. I used to be very anxious all the time. And I always used to think, like pretty much the what ifs, right? And things, and worry about things that are necessarily out of my control, if that makes sense. But when you come to faith and sort of submit, your will and your thoughts and everything to faith and to God, the overwhelming sense of peace is like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like it. No matter, what you go through in life, you always just think that, okay, it's all good. It's happening for a reason. And, everything will, work out at the end of the day, and you will, and, I will understand why this is happening right now, despite how bad and how, crap it may feel in the obviously moment.
Yeah. It is crazy that faith does that, bro. It is crazy. And to me, I think we touched on this last time as well, that there's so many different points in which once you do come to faith and try and build a relationship with God, or however word you want to use to describe, I believe it's all the same thing. People say the universe, people say, Mother Nature, people say all these things. I think it's all the same word, that you do find more and more proof in doing so once you come to the realization, like, everything happens for a reason. Like, there's no need to feel that pressure of the life, of the universe, of all the hard complications and where to go, what to do moving forward. There's no need to feel all this when you can just say, God, take the wheel. And then you just start becoming open, and you start to become aware of the signs and the messages and the guidance in which we actually do have in life. Like, you are so much more peaceful, bro. So much more peaceful,
For sure.
Glad you mentioned that, yeah.
100%. I think it all just comes down to being grateful at the end of the day as well. So being grateful for where you are in your journey, being grateful for what you have in your life, and being grateful for who you have in your life as well. Those things make it so much easier to keep on going throughout the hard times as well.
Yeah, definitely. You did mention that you find that a lot of lads aren't confident, right? And I want to know from your perspective, why do you think that is? Why do you think so many lads out there just don't have confidence in themselves, realistically?
I'd say it's very situation dependent. Just a lot of things that have happened in, I'd say, the individual's life, right? That obviously stopping them from necessarily, getting to where they want to get to, and actually, believing in themselves, whether it be, their parents putting them down from when they were younger, whether it be, a girl, dumping them or cheating on them, or whether it be, what you see on social media, in terms of like, all the relationship advice and all the dating advice, you know what I mean? Like it makes it pretty difficult to know, what to follow. And also, kind of what you've been fed throughout the entirety of your life can make it difficult to be confident. And I think that a lot of people become very overwhelmed with where they want to go, and they're very confused about it because of everything online, if that makes sense. You see Iman Ghazi, like we were saying last time, flexing his lifestyle online. You see all these Dubai crypto millionaires, making a lot of money, and you see them, and you hear Andrew Tate, saying, hook up with a bunch of girls, right? Mm-hmm. And just, have as many women as possible. And that's like the way you're going to be, an amazing man, if that makes sense. But it's just tough at the end of the day to know. It's very situation dependent, right? It's very subjective. But I'd say, those are probably some reasons why a lot of men aren't necessarily confident at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'd say as well as that, I think just the way, sort of like the typical masculine feminine roles have sort of, flipped, has changed things a lot, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot more men are a lot more feminine, and a lot more women are a lot more masculine nowadays.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a good point. I think that I was going to ask, why do you think that men and women are switching roles, but fuck, they're switching roles literally and surgically nowadays, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Yes.
The reasons as to why are honestly unknown when it gets that extreme, but do you think that a godless society is to blame for all these issues?
Oh, I was just about to probably go on to that. Yes.
Yeah.
I think so, unfortunately, but 100%.
Yeah. I feel like honestly, it's so good to be able to talk to someone that has faith as well, because like all the answers come down to such simple realizations, you know what I mean? And it's just, if you just remove blasphemy and indulgence and anything that the Bible tells you to remove from your life, and steering away from a traditional route of marriage and commitment and gender roles and being the provider as a man and being a supporter as a woman. And you take away all these, like the Bible just tells you what to do. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like the instruction manual to life, pretty much. It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. 100%. 100%.
Do you ever try and preach the faith in your coaching? Do they ever cross over?
Depends on the person.
Yeah.
But I do try, even though I may not necessarily say it's directly from, the Bible, I'd still sort of, preach the word of God, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And try and give advice based off, what it says in the Bible, if that makes sense. And a lot of people, I'd say in general, when they actually giving advice, everything I've listened to on podcasts and all the reading that I do actually all stems back to, scripture at the end of the day. All good basic morals come from scripture and come from faith and come from, God, if that makes sense. So
yeah, it's a hard one to be able to tell people because you can't tell anyone to start, believing.
Of course, it's like you see all the people that like very, very preachy, and they think that when people were trying to, spread the word and everything, that it's exactly like how it is, like, in the churches in America where they're all singing and like and whatnot. But it's not necessarily the case. Like, while that's obviously amazing, right? It can be a bit too, full on and too front on. And I think that taking a more like, softer approach, if that makes sense, and, maybe planting the seeds, if that makes sense, at certain times to make them think, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, they'll make the decision for themselves.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you have to do.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good mentality to go through. Do you, how much time do you spend realistically doing what you're doing? I know you did mention it to me last time. We kind of touched on it, but how much time do you spend with the clients you have? How much time do you spend trying to get more? Like, how much time does it consist?
Yeah. So do you want me to do like a whole day routine, day in the life?
Yeah.
Sure thing. All right. So no matter what time I wake up, right, it really just depends. So I try and get 9 hours in bed always. Some days, obviously, it doesn't end up happening depending on what, but I try and get 9 hours in bed every day. So to get about, 8.5 to 8 hours of sleep a night, wake up whatever time that is, eat my first meal, then go train, come back post-workout, then literally it's just straight into work. So I'll start off, sussing out what the clients are doing, see how I can help them. Then I'll, either bank content or do content ideas, film, edit content. Then I'll spend, a couple hours, outreaching or, replying to anyone that I've, reached out into the day before. Then if there are calls, I'll obviously do some calls throughout the day, obviously whether it be, to get them onboarded or just in general, right? And then obviously posting my content, refining stuff on the back end. And then, after that probably takes like 6 to 8 hours, even 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll just, obviously get all my meals in whilst that's all happening. And then I always, pretty much every night end the night, just spending some time with my missus. So
yeah,
that's pretty much the daily routine.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And then how many days are you at Elite Supplements? Like
Elite Subs. So yeah, I'm there like 3 to 4 days. So I'm still, to be honest, like doing work.
Yeah.
If the shop's quiet, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, bro, it's just a 24/7 grind.
Yeah.
Probably, as you know.
Yeah.
So.
It is a grind. How many? Do you have a goal in which you want to try and step out of working at, for any company? It doesn't have to be Elite Supplements, but like, do you have a goal in which I want to have this many clients before I can do that? Or is that something you're aiming towards?
Yeah. I'd say more of like a revenue target, if that makes sense. Yeah, I do. I want to be doing like 20 to 30 a month.
Yeah.
Before, I start, doing it full time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that'll definitely solidify everything. And even, show my parents that, I'm actually able to, do this full time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because although I've had, some pretty solid success up till now, they're still obviously not fully on board.
Yeah.
I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I just really want to ensure and solidify, all that before I go and move to it full time, if that makes sense. But that is, of course, the goal. And then from there, obviously, continuing to scale it and, just,
Yeah.
sky's the limit, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't really want to put a limit on myself, but yeah.
Do you find that it takes much of a return of investment of your own input? So say, for example, if someone wants to grow a business in general, whether it be a product-based business, all the money that they gain from the stuff that they're selling, they reinvest back into the business, whether it be through advertisements or whether it be through making the product, packaging look better or anything. Like really, you just put all the money back in. Is it the same kind of mentality when it comes to doing what you're doing? Is there much place to reinvest or anything like that?
Well, yes and no. You can obviously, you obviously get the best programming, service you can possible. You can get meal plan templates and stuff, but there are a lot of ways to, increase your profit margin, if that makes sense. And with especially in the online space, profit margins are, stupid high compared to other business models, especially, coaching and all these other, sort of, business models that you have online. So profit margins probably at the moment are like 85 to 90%,
Wow.
which is pretty high.
Yeah.
So a lot of it obviously goes back to me, but it does, like you were saying, but go back into advertising, go back into, getting better equipment for the content, obviously providing a better service for the clients. So yeah, it definitely does go back in.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there's no question, like a return of investment for you and what you're doing would be like investing in supplements, dude, and things like this, and like posting content around that and like all these things, because like that's helping guide the customers and clients, you know 100%. What I mean? So it is investing in yourself, which is investing in the brand, realistically. It's obviously if you're out there like spending money on shit that no one's ever going to see and doesn't help you in general,
course,
like, that's different. But yeah, I consider that to be a return of investment, because what you're building is your frame and your physique is a big draw towards the clients.
Of course. Like we were saying last time, you kind of do have to sort of build a good foundation, physically, right, before you can even, think about stepping forward and actually trying to, teach people how to do the same. It's just like, why would you listen to someone who's out of shape but it's telling you to try and be in shape? You know what I mean? It's like the PTs who are a bit overweight, if that makes sense.
That does my head in, bro. Does my head in. Do you know anyone else in your field and your space? Do you know anyone else who's doing what you're doing?
Yeah. Coach Rohan, he's doing pretty well. I've met him. He's doing well for himself, 100%. Well, Coach Tyrus was coaching. He's actually not anymore, but I do know him. Who else have I met? I can't think off the top of my head, to be fair, but
it doesn't sound like there's many.
There is a lot.
There is a lot? Yeah, okay.
There are a lot, but I just haven't actually, physically met these people, if that makes sense. But those two, like I said, off the top of my head, I have met them. Yeah. But unfortunately, Tyrus isn't doing coaching anymore. So,
okay. Was it anyone else in your immediate life beforehand that was doing anything along this online space or world?
I was the first one.
Yeah.
That tried, I guess make the leap, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess crazy. Everyone was kind of, same old traditional, which is like we were saying before, like isn't necessarily a bad way of living, right? It's not necessarily a bad path to go down. Like that's amazing if you want to do that. Like, but I don't know, just it's not for me. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just how I feel.
And you also said you're going to uni as well, so I'm curious as well. Like, you'd gone to uni for business.
Yeah.
Did you have an idealistic business in which you wanted to have before you started uni?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, absolutely not. I genuinely, probably like most people, just went to uni just for the sake of it, because they didn't know necessarily what they wanted to do with themselves, if that makes sense. So it's unfortunate to say, but it's on my list of priorities, it's pretty low.
Yeah.
But I'm still just trying to get through it and get it done.
Yeah.
So
how much time does the uni take? How much time does it take?
I should put, like, it realistically should take more time than I put into it. But yeah. I just don't put as much effort into it. I just don't, unfortunately, like I've learned so much doing things by myself, and obviously, getting that business mentor, like I was saying, Shout out Zach Colburn, but he's taught me so much more than anything I've ever learned in like the 3 or 4 years that I've been at uni now, in like a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In less than a year. So
how important has a mentor played a role? I know you've learned so much more than him from uni, but how much
massive. Like he's like 20, 30x like my progress in the business.
Yeah.
And even same with my, my bodybuilding coach, Graydon, so shout out Graydon. He like absolutely, like tripled, quadrupled my progress that I would have made by myself, or, going with another coach. So I'm very, very grateful for both of them. And I think that especially, if you're young and you do want to improve yourself, you should invest in yourself, and you should have some sort of mentor to help you guide you through the process as well. Because if you know someone's done the thing that you want to do, like you were saying earlier, you would kind of want to follow in their footsteps and get their guidance to how they did it, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
if you have to, obviously invest a little bit to do so, you're gonna, get it back.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. It's such an interesting concept that people always say, invest in yourself. And I never really understand what they mean by that, bro. It's so confusing, but it's starting to make more sense when it comes to like finding a mentor. That's one way to invest in yourself, or, invest in the passions in which you have, whether it be podcasting equipment, or whether it be, like if you really want to get into dirt bikes, like invest in a dirt bike, and like I guess it is kind of investing in yourself, realistically. But the mentor thing's been an eye-opening one for me lately, that people preach invest in yourself, and what that means is just pay someone to teach you how they've done what they've done, which is so, I don't know, it's crazy it's just crazy for me, bro, because everything I've ever done, people have paid me to do, trade, labor, work. But now I've got to pay someone else. It
is wild. It's a bit of a flip, and it's something that a lot of people actually. It's a tough decision to make. You know what I mean? It's a tough thing to invest in, but like once you've made that leap, it becomes easier and easier and easier to do over time, if that makes sense. But that first initial decision to do so is obviously very, very tough.
Yeah, man. Well, what's some goals and things you're aiming towards coming up in the future? Like, do you want to? I don't even know where to start when it comes to it, but obviously you want to try and take on more clients and things like this. Yeah.
Obviously more clients, right? Keep on growing the business. Like I said, get to like 20 to 30K a month. That'd obviously be awesome.
Oh, 20 to 30K a month, bro.
Yeah.
So I thought you were saying 20 to 30 clients a month. 20 to 30K
is
nuts.
Yeah. No, 20 to 30K a month. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Fuck, that's nuts, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm pretty confident I can do so within the next, year or two, for sure.
That's mad, bro. That's hectic.
So,
I'd buy so much shit, bro. Fucking that much money.
Touch wood, God willing.
Yeah.
Everything, goes the right way. That's one goal. Second goal, obviously, is to, continue scaling the business as best as possible, right? I'm actually, potentially thinking of, launching an app, with everything, with the coaching. So touch wood, God willing, everything goes well.
Yeah.
Obviously, buy a first home. That'd be awesome with my partner. That'd be sick. Want to travel.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to get married, within the next, few years as well.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Oh, you're already fucking saying something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot. I do want to travel, obviously. Like I've done a lot of traveling, fortunately, and I'm very grateful for that. But obviously just, continue seeing the world, continue doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, becoming a dad would be hectic as well.
Yeah. Number one, bro.
Yeah.
Number one, becoming a dad would be hectic. When you say 20 to 30K a month, that's blown my mind in proportion to what I thought this realm would go down towards. Not saying I didn't expect it to be possible, but like I didn't know it would be so recent as to, what can be possible as such a short amount of time. Because for someone to earn 20 to 30K a month in any job takes probably decades, realistically, you know what I mean? Like whether it be doctor or not, you still study for almost 10 years just to earn close to that. Even then you don't even earn that. You earn close to that.
Yeah.
How much money is possible in doing online coaching if that's what you're aiming towards next?
It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
like
then
some people, depends on how they scale it, hundreds of thousands a month.
Fuck, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
And is it with the same business principles, or do they have to take a next leap forward into doing something additional?
They have to. They obviously you onboard extra coaches and whatnot. Obviously, because obviously the individual like myself probably wouldn't. I can't maintain 100 clients. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like so, obviously you'd onboard more clients, or like I was saying before, you do it in an app, so it's obviously much more scalable. In a
like a subscription,
wider, subscription sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's so many different ways to scale and to do so, but yeah.
That's fucking crazy, bro. That's fucking crazy. That's pumped me the fuck up. I want to go make some money today.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It is for sure. But if you get all the back end stuff set up in the right way and you have the knowledge and how to execute it, all you have to do is just keep on putting in the reps, and then eventually it'll come into fruition. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's mad. Well, I want to know this as well, because I've been trying to. One of the goals I've had for doing the podcast for a very long time is I'm trying to learn more about individuals, obviously, and get to know them as well. But I'm kind of compartmentalizing, and I'm not trying to categorize people, but I'm finding a lot of relations between people and their goals and the drive that pushes them towards to get them. I'm finding the common links between people in different fields they have. So example would be creativity. Like I noticed that when a very easy example, to be honest, so I'm going to use it, but it's like one person who's creative in one form of expression usually has about 5 or 6 other things that they're also doing creatively. There's just one that stands out above the most. Like some people are more creative, some people are more mathematical, some people are more like, so like as an example would be like some people have to physically do something to learn it. Some people are better at reading something to recall the information. So I'm curious, when it comes to the idea of making money, right? What do you want to make money for? Do you want to like make money to buy hectic shit because you like the look of certain things? Do you want to make money to invest money? Do you want to grow business? Do you want to have property? Like what do you want money for realistically, I
think it's a great question. I think it's something that we were touching on previously, right? Obviously making money and the pursuit of money and the love of money is a hedonistic sort of thing to want to pursue. And like we were saying, hedonistic is sort of the pursuit of something worldly, and that's sort of finite, if that makes sense, and won't necessarily give you that full sense of fulfillment, if that makes sense. The more money you make, the more you want, and it just keeps on going in a spiral, if that makes sense. So the real reason why I want to, it's not to flex, it's not to buy nice things, it's not necessarily to go out and live that sort of billionaire, millionaire lifestyle, crypto, whatever, or that big lifestyle.
Jet skis in Dubai.
Yeah, exactly. That's not what it is at all. I just want to provide as much security as I can to the people around me, to as many people as possible, and obviously just be able to go wherever I want, have the freedom of time that I have, so I can be a very present father with my kids, and also just be able to give my wife as much as she wants and as much as she needs, you know what I mean, as well as that my extended family, give back to as many people as possible, and essentially just really bring a nice sense of security to everyone around me, if that makes sense. I don't necessarily want to do all those things as well. Like yes, all those things may potentially come, right? They're all just additions to the main principles, if that makes sense. And as well as that, I really enjoy the process of it all. Like I was saying, I really do love the journey and the come up, if that makes sense. And I find it really fun, like learning and just continuously improving myself, if that makes sense. So I'd say those are the real reasons why. Pretty standard, I guess, but it's the truth at the end of the day. That's really why I want to.
Yeah. That's cool. I've got a lot of people in my life that are like that as well. They're not interested in the mediocre flashing of nice things and the flex and the gram and all that shit. And to be honest, my mates that don't think like that, they have the most amount of wealth in that. If you're going to consider assets or money to be success, they have the greatest bank accounts or the greatest asset lists, and they're not the flashy ones. For me, it's so fucking conflicting, bro, because I just want to buy hectic shit all the time. You know what I mean? It's such a practice and an art to budget and save and invest and put money into things. I just want to buy mad shit. That's all I want, bro. Honestly, obviously it'd be nice to have a big, beautiful home and security. But I just don't know if that's what I really want more than anything.
I get you.
I want fucking I want hectic shoes and fucking tattoos, and I want fucking like just nice shit, bro. I like looking at nice shit.
Yeah. No, without a doubt.
That's
Without
my
a doubt.
thing. Yeah.
No, like obviously if you have, right, you should obviously, treat yourself. But I'd say, don't go too overboard, obviously.
Yeah.
Like
That's my
yeah,
problem.
yeah,
I fucking overindulge. Like
yeah,
I should be more responsible with my money. Yeah. It's like that's a hard thing, bro. It's a hard
it
thing.
is tough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is, especially with all the things in the world. But it comes down at the end of the day, right? Even I've heard, Andrew Tate. I've heard all these, people with a lot of money. Like I've listened to it a lot, and it's just like, what, you buy everything, and then they realize, oh, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Like I've achieved everything. What now?
Yeah.
It comes down to, like you were saying, the people you have around you, the people who will love and support you through it, right? And if you don't have that, then you're going to be by yourself.
Yeah.
Like you may have a Ferrari, but you don't have, your beautiful wife next to you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be alone in that Ferrari.
Yeah.
Like you don't have anyone to share it with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know. It's a very good point. It's a very good point. But I like looking at this perspective as well. Like I obviously look up to the Tate brothers. I think that Andrew and Tristan Tate are both great examples for what men can achieve. I have to play devil's advocate as well. I think some of the things they say are insane, but I still think they're great role models, realistically.
I agree.
I look up to them. But I know that Andrew, he doesn't really give a shit about the flexing and the money. He uses that, he flexes and all that stuff to make more money. He uses that, he invested in himself by having the Bugatti because it's a talking point to get more people to draw towards his business and his page. But Tristan's actually the one that likes spending money. Like Andrew doesn't really care about buying nice shit. Tristan's the one that says to Andrew all the time, like, I know you're all about making money, but we got to start spending money. What's the point of making money if we're not spending it, And then they work. Yeah, they work together in that regard, Andrew doesn't really care about buying nice shit. He just buys nice shit because he has the money to do so. Tristan buys nice shit because he wants nice shit. So I like that they can kind of work together to balance that juggle.
Course. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've heard Andrew say it before as well. He says that he likes the fact that Tristan says, I know, he's like, we need to buy a car. And he's like, we have 30 cars. We don't need another car. And Tristan's like, we should have 60.
I get you.
And it kind of works because it's another reason to drive to make more money and become more successful. And yes, I know they're hedonistic things to base your life to make money towards, but if you are aiming to get the Lambo and then you are saving and you're making as much money to get the Lambo, you are also putting yourself in a position to become more financially secure and to give your wife and children a better life. It might be the thing that you're aiming towards, but in aiming towards it, you're still putting yourself in a position to be best equipped. You know what I mean? For whatever comes up.
No, without a doubt. And I think, like, you're right. Like, you should. My missus and I kind of do this all the time. We kind of like buy, things that may necessarily, not that we don't have the money to buy them, but you buy them with the intention to be like, okay, like, you got to make more now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I feel like, yes, you have to be smart with your money, but you should live in with abundance as well. You know what I mean? You don't want to be too tight either. Yeah.
Definitely a hard act to juggle, but yeah, it's something that I like asking the question to know what people are, using money for, because everyone's different, bro. Everyone's after different things. Everyone's after different reasons, and there is no correct pathway to start doing anything, but there's also no correct pathway to aim towards either. Everyone's doing things for different reasons, just like everyone's starting things in different ways. It's cool. It's very cool. I'm glad that you touched on faith. I'm glad that you're a man of faith. Like, we definitely talked a lot more deeper into it on the first episode.
Sure.
You said you're Greek Orthodox.
Greek Orthodox.
Yeah, and you came back to faith, and I am putting words into your mouth in this conversation, but you did tell me the first time that you found a lot more drive forward and fulfillment and comfort in doing so since you've done so. I'm just grateful that you've been on that path. I wanted to at least chuck that in here before the end.
Appreciate that.
But unfortunately, we're gonna have to get towards the end of the episode pretty quickly.
That's all good, man. No, all good.
But I like these futuristic plans. What's some of the places in which you'd like to travel next to? Like, what's some places that you and your missus are probably keen to go to?
Yeah, of course. Well, obviously Europe. Right. I've done Greece a few times, but
a few times, mad.
Yeah, I'm pretty, obviously fortunate. Like I said, done Greece. I've done Italy before. I've been to France. but I do want to go to Croatia.
Mad.
I think that would be really, really nice. I do want to go back to Italy. Italy's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. Greece, obviously. Where else? I actually want to do a bit of Asia. I want to go to Japan. I've never been to Japan.
Japan would be tight.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Potentially even like a Thailand.
Yeah, Thailand.
I've thought of. Yeah,
Thailand's
like
my
apparently,
favourite place, bro.
like the beaches like look insane.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Where else? Maybe America again.
Again, nice. You hit America too. Nice.
But I only went to the west coast. I didn't necessarily like it, and I feel like it kind of tarnished my view on America.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, America has its issues, and obviously, with the people, and obviously, the actual going, like, how the companies actually run, and not the company, sorry,
It is
the
basically
country,
a company,
the country.
but...
Oh no, oh, there you go. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And but I would love to do like the East Coast, so like Boston, New York and stuff as well. That'd be cool. Maybe even Texas. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's all I can really think of off the top of my head, to be fair.
Nice.
But,
Yeah, you got some good lists, bro. You got a good list, yeah. I think the pyramids would be the number one
Oh,
place in the
also
world.
that'd be hectic as well.
Yeah, pyramids is top of my bucket list. Eh?
Yeah.
I keep saying it, and I just keep going to some random fucking island somewhere instead. Some
No,
cheap holiday.
100%.
And
Do you,
fuck.
sorry, I know we're going to wrap up soon, but do you think that the pyramids were...
Bros, I'll go into this for fucking 20 minutes if you want. I had a segment in the podcast at the beginning of the year that I started doing it towards the end of every episode with every guest that was about a 20-minute, 25-minute touch on Egypt. So I was going through my own little research and working out everything to archaeological burial sites or ancient mythology or the Book of the Dead I was just researching the shit out of the wars that took place and the pharaohs and coming and bringing that to the episode and kind of talking about it for a little bit.
Let's do it. Why not?
So, like, I believe, and they say the pyramids were built about 2,500 BC, which is about 4,500 years ago.
Okay.
By memory, they could have been saying it was 3,500 years ago, but it's around that period. And they say that it took 27 years to build the pyramids, right? Based on our belief system. That means the amount of stones that they cut, moved, and transported and placed a stone every 11 seconds, I'm pretty sure, for 27 years consistently. All right, I'm pretty sure that's the math. It could have been 11 minutes, but let's say a very quick period of time.
It doesn't add up.
Very quick period of time. Some of these stones weigh as much as 75 tons, and they were transported 500 miles, I think it was miles, down the Nile River from a different place of the world. That's like traveling it from here to fucking Brisbane, right? Realistically. So, no, they were not built that long. I believe what happened was the pyramids were built tens and tens, if not hundreds of thousands of years ago by what I don't believe to be humans at all. I don't believe it to be humans. And I believe that the pharaohs just came through and spray painted the walls of Egypt. I believe that they're just graffiti artists that came through and wrote their names on it and drew pictures all over it.
Fair.
I believe it was
Fair enough.
a long time before that, bro. Yeah.
Fair.
That's what I believe.
No, I was genuinely curious what you thought.
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not as educated on it, but I definitely don't think that, like they actually, did it, if that makes sense.
It's not possible, bro. It's just not possible.
And then last one, Atlantis.
Atlantis, I believe to be a real place that existed. I believe it's just as likely. Or, to be honest, I'm just on the fence of it being real or not. I'm not 100% certain, but all the ancient texts describe Atlantis to be a real place that existed. And I have no reason to believe it wasn't. I believe that it is a place that existed before the Younger Dryas impact, which was around 13,000 years ago when the earth pretty much flooded and just pretty much killed everything in its path. Which is, interestingly enough, a story that Noah's Ark derives from. Noah's Ark is a story told like a game of Chinese whispers over generations and generations of tens of thousands of years to be today what we know it to be Noah's Ark. But it was a real flood that really did happen. The flood,
For sure. 100%. Interesting. No.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever actually heard like Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. I don't know, the myths on the Bermuda Triangle, I don't know if I believe it. it is a real place that real
Yeah.
planes and boats and stuff do crash. But I think it's just to do with the fact that it's where the seas and the winds meet. I don't think it's
Fair.
anything to do.
Fair. Well, I don't know if you've heard, but apparently eels every year at the same time, I forgot when exactly, but at some certain point in the year, all swim towards the Bermuda Triangle for some reason.
That's crazy.
Yes. Like no matter whether they're, you know, in a fish tank, like in Australia Zoo, Taronga Zoo, you know what I mean? Apparently they all just swim towards it.
That's crazy, dude. That's insane. I don't know if I believe that. That's so crazy. Maybe are all eels prone with high electromagnetism? I think that because a lot of eels have such a strong force of electrocurrent inside of them, they literally produce electricity. So I'm wondering if maybe all of them do have at least a high level. Maybe it's almost like a magnetism kind of thing in a way. They're all being
potentially. I don't know. I'm just spitting stuff out there. You know what I mean? This is what I've just heard. So, yeah.
I'm already starting to like believe it.
No.
Yeah.
All good, bro.
Yeah, I love conspiracies.
Sorry to divert.
No. Trust, bro. The podcast has got a necessary turn. I love fucking all things conspiracies. Yeah. But no, Egypt's definitely my favorite place, bro. I need to see it to believe it, bro, because it's so monumentally impossible. Like they reckon that with today's technology, we would struggle to build that. You know, it's I gotta go see it.
Without a doubt, bro. One day.
Yeah.
One day, 100%.
Yeah. And then the stories are crazy, bro. Like just the way the ancient Egyptians lived their lives, and whether it was them, like they believe that Pharaoh Khufu, which was I think he was a pharaoh from like the 19th dynasty or something crazy. He wasn't even that early on. I can't remember exactly, but he's built carvings into mountains with fucking sculptures in which you can't even imagine, with all his faces on them, and inside the mountains in which they've carved out are entire villages in which people can choose to live if they want to live in them or not. And I just don't understand how it's even possible, bro, because it's like we can't do that shit today, you know.
No, it is crazy because, you know, arguably some of the technology they may have or may not have had back then is like way more advanced than we'd had today.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's a guy, Graham Hancock. Do you ever heard of Graham Hancock? No. I'll definitely send you a link to some of the stuff Graham Hancock's done. He pretty much specializes in ancient civilizations. That's one of his main things. He's like a kind of a geologist and a historian in a way, and ancient mythology was his main foundation for who he is, just studying ancient myths and legends and trying to figure out where they came from. But yeah, he made a great Netflix documentary called Ancient Apocalypse, and he goes over all these different places in the world and all their ancient traditions and cultures and, you know, stories, and then brings them all back down to one thing that pretty much happened to the earth a very long time ago, from Christianity to the Masamayans, all these different things. Like, yeah, you should definitely watch Ancient Apocalypse.
I'm keen. Now that you've mentioned it, I'm actually keen. 100%.
Yeah, he's a legend. He's written amazing books, amazing series, amazing podcasts. Like, he's a legend. So yeah, but watch that if you want to lose like fucking the next 2 years of your life in research.
That's all right, bro. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool, 100%.
Cool. Yeah. Because I'm going to bring it towards the end of the episode, dude. Unfortunately, I have to thank you again for coming and doing the podcast for the second time.
More than welcome, bro. Of course.
Of course. It's been a pleasure again.
Likewise.
The final question, which you did answer the first time, I'm going to ask you again, is the same question I ask at the end of every episode, that if someone came to you because they're feeling depressed, mostly because they were just lost, what advice would you give to that person?
Like I said last time, I would say to do more, because I think too many people overthink when it comes to obviously feeling lost and feeling, you know, obviously down. And while it is, you know, important to think, and it is important to feel the feelings that you're feeling, like obviously don't, you know, not validate, you know what I'm saying, what you're feeling. It will come up later on if you do, right? But validate those feelings and then go out and do something, because the more you do, the less time you have to think. And by doing, you're going to be more productive. You'll probably figure out, you know, what you like and what you don't like, and you'll just obviously keep on growing as an individual. So I would say definitely just to do more. Yeah,
do more. I love it, bro. Perfect answer. I said to you the first time, bro, but those two words are so powerful. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a different answer. It's always a beautiful answer, but just do more. Bro, I think it would just get a lot of people off their ass in the first place, you know? Yeah, good answer, dude. Good episode. Good everything about it, bro. Good effort for coming back the second time to doing it. I think that what you're doing is incredible. I had no idea what the potentials could be. I knew that you'd live a nice, comfortable lifestyle and routine, you know, setting your own hours and doing all these things. But man, the possibilities of what you can make and do it are crazy, bro.
Yeah, without a doubt. 100%.
Yeah. So fuck, good work, bro. Good work. I hope that you set a good example for other people to get into the same space as you, because yeah, that's breaking generational wealth. You know what I mean?
For sure, 100%.
Yeah. So good luck with everything, bro. I can only see more continuous catapultism forward in your endeavor. And yeah, I can't wait to do another podcast in the future and hear how the journey's going.
100%, bro. God bless.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Yeah, gang. Well, for everyone listening, thank you for making it to the end of the episode as well. It was an amazing week this week. There'll be another one next week. That's all right.
Try to catch a vibe, yeah, I had to put her on. Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Shawty got my high, I ain't tripping for the funds. Yeah, I won't start, I ain't tripping, I'm a stunt. Oh.